Hello everyone, welcome to the new installment of the Mobile Moderators Challenge. My name is Zeke and of course joined at the desk by none other than S Proxy. S, how are you doing today?
Very excited to be here for Sisu, and so far it looks like we're going to be in for quite a bit of action today, DK. These players, they're going to be ready for action.
Oh yes, it's going to be pretty exciting. Of course, I don't know what the Moderators Cup or the Moderators Challenge is. This is the opportunity for all, the behind the scene people that make a lot of events, as well as a lot of the mains that we are doing in the competitive scene for PUBG. You have an opportunity now to have a bit of themselves, right? So instead of just looking on as others get the opportunity to go out and have a bit of fun on the battlefield, we're now going to be looking as the moderators will be stepping up, showing us what they've got and which region is going to be the one to bring in that extra domination. Of course, this is the second season, right? So the previous season, we did see a very interesting, space coming through. We had, again, moderators from all over the world participating in the event. I mean, last season we had from Korma Sports taking the victory, taking a glorious winner chicken dinner across the board there, coming in with a grand total of 91 points, which was quite exciting to witness. But of course, for this season, we are going to be looking at what the moderators will be bringing in. Of course, we've got a few teams and such that have made their way out onto that battlefield, but there's going to be a lot of excitement here today.
Absolutely, these teams already, they've gone through their qualifiers, they've gone through the group stages, and now they are here to prove why they will be the champions of Season 2. So, I mentioned a few returning teams, as we saw Nordic also back with the hopefully ready to make an appearance and do better than their previous season performance, because they didn't quite get the win, but maybe because they've got that experience, because they got the same roster, might be taking it this time around. But ultimately, it'll be down to all of our teams to make it happen.
Yeah, of course, we are going to be playing it out across the next 2 days. So today is going to be day one. Tomorrow we'll be concluding all the action as the teams will have a great opportunity to work their way through. We've got a beautiful map selection as well. And as you've already said, right, the groups have been grinding their way through over the previous few weeks, trying to establish who's going to be making it to this point. And of course, we were looking at a few of those broadcasts as well. I got to say, though, there was some pretty confident performances coming in there. I mean, it is always good to watch. So I'm curious to see how that is going to translate into all the action here today, right? Because, I mean, sure, right? Take into account these are not professional players. They are professional moderators, right? So you got to give them that credit. But of course, there's going to be a lot to play for here as we are going to be looking at our teams at some point as well, just to give our viewers a bit of a perspective as to who will be competing in, who will be representing all our respective regions. But of course, there are going to be a few nice little surprises as we are working our way through the matches as well for the viewers.
Absolutely. A few little giveaways. So if you are watching, make sure you keep your eyes on the screen because you might be able to win yourself a few extra UC points as well, or a few wonderful little surprises as we go through. As you said, DK, they are professional moderators. So yeah, they might not be professional players, but they clearly know a little bit of something about the game. Maybe that will be their advantage moving into these maps today.
Yeah, I mean, even if I talk about my own account, right? I mean, watching all the professional players do their thing, stepping out into PUBG itself, a little bit of that does trickle down, right? I still play like a bot, but it's fine. I now have a little bit of a better way to figure out, how to maybe make these rotations. And based on what we saw coming through from those group stages, right? There's a lot of that implementation that has come through. So I'm curious to see what the moderators are going to be bringing to this battlefield and who's going to be stepping up. Of course, we are going to be taking a look at those participating teams as soon as we have the opportunity to do that. But of course, we have our map schedule as well, right? We are going to be taking a bit of a cycle going through our maps here, and we are going to be taking a decent spread through the way as well. So I'm excited to see how, well, rather what the trend is going to be, right? How are the teams going to look to build up a little bit of that consistency? Because we are changing it up as we go on through. So we are going to be playing 4 different maps, and that should be the same, hopefully, for both days. But of course, we are going to be starting off the action over on the bread and butter of PUBG. It is going to be Erangel for our very first game. So I want to see what those drops are going to be, where they're going to be moving, and of course, well, we'll have to wait and see who's going to be taking that very first winner chicken dinner.
Absolutely, and like you said, it's 4 different maps. So for anyone who's up on that, that does mean that we're not going to have repeats. That does mean that there's going to be a little surprise at the end. We'll have to wait until that map feed. I don't want to spoil it, DK. I don't want to spoil it. We'll have to wait for them to see the map feed to see what that last map is going to be, because it can't be Erangel, Sanhok, and Miramar. Those will already be accounted for. So that's going to be a bit of an interesting one as well. We'll have to wait. But I mean, speaking of season 2, back at it again. The moderators are here to showcase that they kick it with the dogs and they can get some points when they need to. For you, coming back for another season, how do you think it is going to look? How do you think it's going to change? I mean, considering they only have 2 days, 4 matches each day to get all the points necessary to get to the top with the points change, a lot has changed since the previous season.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting one to see exactly how, how the teams are playing through this, how they're going to be moving up as well. Because I think there could be a pretty high based on what we've seen coming to the group stages. But I'm going to say, looking at what we've got here, I'm root for one team. Maybe I'll go for, Nordic is nice. Baguette, because I like me some baguette.
Baguette, I would love to see that. There are some very interesting teams. Yes, in all honesty, when we were going through, there are some professional name makers. I really do want to see what Super just to say, I hope they do absolutely. Team Baguette, CIS East, we've got a few spaghetti slayers as well. So some very interesting opportunities. As we've already mentioned, Nordic obviously be exact same roster, exact same name this season again. So good to see that. But I don't know, we're going to be jumping into this pretty ready for surprises. Like us, the opportunities and the review on the stage.
Yeah, and I mean, because, also taking into account that, situated in the, they are into play there as well. A bit of ping or something. But, of course, now it is going to be an opportunity schedule as well to exactly what the teams are going to be playing. So I mentioned it is going to be Erangel, then going to be a little bit of Miramar, and then we look to condense it down a little bit, right? Moving over Sanhok, and then of course we close it off. Lovely, lovely Vikendi to come to close off the proceedings here for the day, and I'm excited to see what Vikendi is going to bring.
Yeah, this will be quite interesting. I mean, forcing teams, to go for larger maps all the way to Sanhok and Vikendi is maybe going to be throwing a little bit of a wrench in the works, giving them some challenges to guess what they can do. And I mean, again, when it comes down to it, this is a very balanced map pool. Whether you have better chances on smaller maps like Sanhok, or you prefer the larger maps, well, you're going to have ample opportunity to play your best map and hopefully showcase some of the best you've ever gotten in your life. It's the finals. We have to see the absolute performances come through here. And starting off with Erangel, bread and butter, this might be the best way for teams to sort of just hit the ground running.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to definitely get rolling, but it's also interesting to take into account that we start 31 teams, right? It's now been whittled down to 16 that are going to be, just showcasing everything that they can to these battlefields. So yes, I have to agree with you. I think Erangel is going to be exciting to see what kind of consistency the teams can look to establish, or what kind of foundation they can look to the very first match. But then the important part is going to come through as to how they can carry that forward, moving into the remaining games. The game style, right? The play style changes up as you proceed across the board. So it's going to be an interesting one how that will then, of course, translate on through. But, aside from the excitement that we have coming through from lovely maps, we also know that, the teams are going to be for not only brag rights, but they're also going to be playing for their share of that amazing, amazing prize pool that we've got coming in as well.
Absolutely. So like you said, not just the bragging rights, not just the prestige of being the Season 2 champions, but also a little extra for all their hard work and efforts. moving into the prize pool, know that there's a little extra over and above the possibility of taking a share of those 40,000 UC. My goodness, DK. But as we know, moving into the finals, every single winner chicken dinner is going to award them that little bit extra.
Yep. I mean, each winner chicken dinner is worth 4,000 UC, and I mean, also MVP going to be walking away with the glorious 10K there as well. I mean, this is a stark number when it comes to UC. I mean, I don't even want to calculate what the exact number is, but I mean, sure, what I'm pretty sure if one of our viewers has got a calculator at hand, maybe you could just count up all these figures and see what it amounts to. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see in the chat what that is. But of course, this is quite impressive. I mean, 40,000 UC for first place. That is a lot. That's like 10,000 UC per player. I mean, that's a decent paid day, especially looking at what you can get in PUBG itself for that UC.
Absolutely. So with that, with the MVP, with the winner chicken dinner bonus as well, a lot to play for, and it adds to a little bit of that competition for every single map. Instead of just playing for the overall points or for the win at the end of the day, every single map performance is going to get you that little extra, is going to give you that extra bonus moving into the last few matches. So hopefully the teams will be taking that as some momentum bonus, just a little bit of encouragement to do that much better. And yeah, no, absolutely. A wondrous prize pool to be adding. Again, for all the hard work and efforts that they do just moderating all of these fantastic competitions, I think they absolutely deserve it.
Yep. And of course, also, it's also quite phenomenal, and I think this is where we need to show a lot of love to the moderators, right? Volunteer work. Right? So mad respect going out to them for making so much possible. So yeah, big shout out going out to all the moderators, everyone that has competed in this event. You guys are absolute legends, and of course we appreciate the living heck out of you. So a big thank you for that. But of course, as we mentioned, right, aside from the teams that are going to be playing for their share of the prize pool, we're also going to be giving away a little bit of UC to our viewers as well.
There is a little bit of that bonus, so you have to keep your eyes on the screen. As we've said, we don't know when it's going to come up. We can't give you this warning. We're going to be just as surprised as you. So hopefully you have your phones ready, have whatever you need ready to pop in those UC codes, because obviously the first ones who claim it are going to be the ones to get those rewards. So you have to be quick, very quick. I've seen these giveaways before, DK. I don't understand how people can be so quick.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but of course, there is you got to go to the right website, I believe, to claim the code. I mean, you can't unfortunately claim it in game, but there is a PUBG UC redeem site that you can just search for on Google. It'll take you to exactly the place that you need to be, and all you got to do is you got to have your player ID at the ready, and then you just add the code in, click redeem, and then bam, you've got it in game. It's there. You can use it, and just go about your business. But yeah, I mean, and that's going to happen across the board, right? Across our games that we'll be having here today. So it is going to be quite essential to keep a very close eye on that. But of course, all our yabbering is going to come to a close pretty soon, as we are going to be heading into our match for the day to see what Erangel is going to be bringing in. And of course, well, we are going to be looking at 16 teams stepping out. So it will be the kind of setup that we are accustomed to, right? The same amount of teams. But let's take exactly what that flight path and zone has in store for us. Looking at where we're starting, it's all the way down towards the lovely, Primorsk, down towards that southern edge. The military island, of course, situated over on towards that right-hand side. So this means we are looking at a very southerly flight path.
Very sneaky. So once again, we move to the southern point of Erangel. For me personally, DK, I've seen the south of Erangel so much in the previous matches that I've just been looking at. I know you have been doing the same, so I hope the zone is not necessarily going to be ending here as well. Considering that this is going to be the first and only opportunity teams have over towards Erangel today on the bread and butter of PUBG Mobile, they want to start it off absolutely strong. So we'll have to wait and see how that zone is going to accommodate the flight path. Ultimately, great opportunity for a few teams to jump over towards Primorsk. We're already seeing some love to Primorsk, Ferry Pier, maybe even a little bit of Farm Milta action as well, but no one really going to be looking at that military base.
Oh, yes, I'm curious to see what if maybe the zone goes there. Maybe you could see a bit of a backtracking coming into that direction. But it does seem like Kyle and Co are going to be pushing down towards that lower position, right? Looking to occupy the southern side of the zone. Of course, that is going to come through from the side there of Prestige Gaming, as they now the only team occupying that Sosnovka military island. I like this lineup though. Look at this, is I mean that northern coastline looking pretty spicy. We could see quite a bit of aggression potentially coming through.
Oh, absolutely. So already setting up some good points of contention here. As we take a look at it, Quarry might also be a little wild, and oof, that is a tough zone to match with that flight path. So such a southerly flight path now matched with such a northerly zone is going to cause a lot of frantic rotations, especially from all of the teams who took those earlier drops, like we saw over towards Primorsk and Ferropier, and of course Novo. Good luck. The fun rotation coming up for you now. But so some of the teams like Nordic, as an example, moving into that eastern side of the zone, lots of spacing for them to work out. Maybe even if they go all the way to Yasnaya, they could potentially beat out the likes of CIS. We'll have to wait and see who's going to be driving those vehicles faster. But there's still plenty of opportunities, some good locations that they can take a hold of.
Yeah, I'm curious to see though who's going to be looking to take up that Saverny slot, right? Saverny, as we know, a decent spot, especially looking at this current zone positioning. So all we got to do is wait for that now to come through. Of course, we are going to be starting it off with, well, we have 61 players that are just finding their way on in. CIS, of course, going to be pulling up in towards that lovely Yasnaya Poliana. And, I mean, they're going to have a glorious looting phase. And this is, I think, the beauty of this northern position zone, is the teams now have a bit of an opportunity. I mean, they're not going to be squirming as much fighting for those positions. That could come through when these rotations start to kind of, whittle the way on in. But, of course, this opens up the opportunity for a little bit more of that preemptive positioning to be a big play at this stage.
Absolutely. So, yeah, look, there's going to be a bit of an interesting rotation now. As you said, teams unfortunately already have to make a rush up to the northern side. It does look like we have some audio issues, so rest assured we will get that sorted as soon as possible. But I mean, speaking of a few of the interesting points that we have to look at, DK, for the teams returning back to Season 2, they obviously have this experience already. They have, as you mentioned, every single one here has that beautiful information that they get as a moderator, so they will hopefully be able to bring us an interesting performance moving into this one, especially from some of these wild rotations over towards this western coastline. Garuda might be able to avoid pretty much anyone and everyone moving on all the way up to that northern side.
Well, I'm not going to say no to that. I mean, a nice little bit of a sneaky rotation, right? Getting yourself secured into a good position. That could be the play of the day here. But also now looking at Greece, all the way down towards the southern edge. You know, just rotating through farm, looking for a bit of a setup here. Maybe going to be venturing up towards Malta. Of course, as we know, not a position currently held within that zone. But then as we look across the board, right, we jump over to the players here from, I believe this is Spain, that are going to be looking to get their rotation secured as they move up, yeah, along that western sneaky line. So again, a lot of opportunity, a lot of position to take occupation of, especially seeing that we had so many teams dropping towards that southern side. But well, I'm pretty sure you can bet your dollar on this that the teams are going to be looking to get those northern angles at least secured for the time being.
Absolutely, they have to. As you mentioned, towards the coastlines, we saw quite a few teams setting up on bridges. With that flight path, with it being so southernly, I would obviously have the same idea that, cool, yes, there's going to be a team on Military Base Island. They're going to have to rotate, especially towards the northern side. And if we can set up a little bit of a gatekeep, that is going to give us a few extra eliminations. But as for the rest of the teams, there is still a lot more rotations that need to be focused. We know there was only one team towards Nova who actually did a drop, so that will give a little bit of a challenge to anyone who's going to be spending their time waiting for some of those rotations. As for the Spaghetti Slayers, very split apart, as we can see. Homast already alone. Can't really see where the rest of the team is going to be hiding for the time being. It looks like they're not too far off already in a vehicle, so maybe they might be coming through for a bit of a pickup. But hopefully we won't be seeing any of those scattered rotations causing some teams to lose out on a few members.
Yes, and I think once we make our approach in towards that, I think it's going to be right about the third phase because looking at the positioning that we have, the teams are still rather scattered, of course, all the way down towards that lovely Novo crate. Also, we still have a little bit of looting going on here as Prestige Gaming. I mean, they have this whole entire island, as far as we know, right, to themselves to go about their business, to get themselves looted up. And this is why Delphine is not even, all too worried about standing still on top of a container. I mean, you can do that because there's nobody to worry about, right? So you can get yourself properly looted up and then, only then, start to worry about that rotation to come through. And of course, they have just over 2 minutes left before that blue zone is going to be forcing their hands. But of course, one of the teams that I'm going to be excited to see what they'll be bringing in is going to be Team Baguette here. I mean, the only reason for that is because I like a baguette.
A baguette's good.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I absolutely understand his reasoning. I can't see any other reason why. But we'll be continuing as we just wait to see what shots going to be exchanged. Oh, and it looks like we're going there as we do see another team moving in here for that territory. So this is going to be interesting for Team Baguette now to try and rotate through and save their teammates.
Yes, come on, the pressure is on. The heat is there. Of course, the players here from Azerbaijan not going to be wasting any time. Siren already has that nade cooked on up, but it's going to be a beautiful bombardment going in both directions. I mean, maybe they'll be getting some action here as the nade flies up. Oh, beautiful hit though. Solona getting taken on down as 3 hits it up. And there's, of course, three threes there, so we can just go for 9. I guess that makes a little bit more sense. But now Siren, I think, to try and see maybe they can evade this absolute bombardment. But that blue zone is not going to be their friend, as they could lose their teammate very soon. Oh, just getting to that res in the nick of time. But now White Days has the opportunity to maybe bring in a little bit of a response here.
As he gets Tua on the back end here, having to get themselves out of the situation. But of course, as we know, if they're the first ones to rotate off, that just gives Azerbaijan that opportunity to take some hits in and hopefully take Team Baguette out for all of their troubles. Losing out on anything here would just be unfortunate. We can see Zico already going down, so Team Baguette finding an opener. One knockdown in the blue zone they go. Now to just add on to the pressure, we see one going down as well. So this is a good back and forth fight.
Oh, yes, but, they got to focus on getting out of the zone. But first things first, they need to settle their differences here. Of course, now, it is going to be that opportunity for Azerbaijan to come in with a little bit of that repayment, but a quick trade. Oh, does come in. It is DBS's. And now it's down to, well, essentially nothing, right? That is the end of Azerbaijan as they got taken on down. Team Baguettes themselves 4 eliminations, so well done on that one. But of course, the zone has closed up, moving a little bit more towards that western side as well. But a lot of teams now starting to get into position.
That's a very good position once again. So even as we were going to say that, yeah, the 4 eliminations that they'll be adding to their roster is going to be very, very good. But unfortunately, it's not going to end for Team Baguette as they now need to focus heavily on rotation. Look at a team like Philippines who are just holding on as they try and pick up as many eliminations as possible. But the Mavericks out here in a very close proximity, looking to retain some of their numbers and get a little bit of payback for that elimination lost. Also in a spot of trouble, as once again the focus just has to be on rotations, keeping them alive, because this next zone is not going to be easy. The points of play, the points available still them, slowly but surely running out.
Yeah, that is the risk that you got to take at this point. But now, as the Philippines are applying a lot of pressure down onto the side there of Mavericks. Let's see if Mavericks are going to be able to get themselves out. Ooh, it does seem to be a safe rotation as they take what they have. Oh, but the sprays are on. Ram now just driving those hits in. Let's see, can they make that vehicle go through? It's going to work. No, close. Oh, I mean, that is a very impressive spray. That was impressive spray though. You got to give it up.
No, I do have to give it up, but man, what That was cold. Mavericks just, they're not having the opportunity here to rest whatsoever. It looks like we will see a follow-up on that, so we'll have to just keep an eye out on the feed to see what's going to happen here. Over towards Stolman, though, we can see Greece already taking up a lovely angle as they head to the top of the mountain, ready to make their names known. I like them looking at some of the grass. I like to see a little bit of the greenery here now and then. But again, Spain already just straight through some
I don't know. I don't know if that was legit drifting. Mad respect going out to No on that one. Or was that however you pronounce the name? I can't figure it out. But either which way, Team Spain, they are going to be losing a player on that one. And now this is Garuda's opportunity to see if they can maybe sneak in a bit of a response here. Ramsey maybe cooking up a bit of a storm. We don't see any utilities in their hand. Instead, they are going to be looking to get themselves boosted up. But now the spray will continue as we got Sapratata, right? Getting ready for a bit of an opportunity. But I definitely hope that we are going to be having a lot of that, you know, that ratatatata come through from their side.
You can't put ratatata in your name and not ratatata until the end, so please, we'll have to wait and see what they have planned for us on that end. Again, I feel like we need to see that glitch again. That is just the best. But for now, we take a look at what's happening. Philippines, on the other hand, finding a little bit of trouble as they run into the Spaghetti Slayers, already taking one knock, looking for that confirmation as well. While Garuda, they are in a spot of trouble as well. You can see just a bit of a back and forth for the time being. As we mentioned, the Spaghetti Slayers holding a beautiful angle towards Philippines. They wanted to take a rotation through this area, and then unfortunately were met with a bit of a setup here.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, right? The pasta slayers, or spaghetti slayers, rather. I mean, spaghetti is pasta at the end of the day. It is what it is. I'm gonna be holding on to a bit of a spot there. I mean, I'm not gonna lie though, I did feel a little bit of salivation starting when I saw the name, because also, yes, please for spaghetti. But it's an interesting spread across the board though. I mean, also looking at the performance that we had come through from Garuda just then, I mean, they all from Indonesia, right? And they are still just, you know, regardless of the distance, laying it on pretty thick. Nordic now also going to be trying to just cram their way through the lovely Stolber here, but they are going to be met with a little bit of grease along the way, as we can see Antidote and Yoda now looking to apply that pressure. But will they be able to get the chance to secure the hits?
Oh, Greece, we know they've been here set up for the longest of times, waiting for an opportunity like this one. But Nordic somehow, some way have completely just evaded them for the time being. They're going to be swapping up vehicles, taking all the healthy ones and continuing their journey forward. Unfortunately for them, it's not an easy one. It's not the case that you have to deal with because there's a few more teams that have found their positioning here. CCIS already making use of that quite nicely. Immediately, the trigger is there for them to just rotate on out of here.
Oh, beautiful sprays coming through here from CIS Esports. But now, will they be able to follow it up? Already securing themselves that first elimination. It does seem like Greece also going to be keeping their distance. Meanwhile, it's going to be Ratata up towards that northern side, as we can see the teams now just holding on to the angles. But again, right, look at the spread though. Saint Azor not heavily occupied. A lot of opportunity for some good ground towards that southern side, but it's all going to be determined by this next incoming zone closure. Of course, the players then there from Esports Red also just sneaking their way in. Ooh, but the zone swings to Stolber. This is what we want to see. And now I'm expecting a lot of chaos, carnage, and mayhem to come through, especially looking at that western side.
Oh, absolutely. As all the teams try and cram their way through into that zone. I mean, for teams like Baguette, who are coming through from the southern side, absolutely uncontested. Again, massive focus over towards Greece and CIS to see what they can do, as everyone now has to go to their position. They have an opportunity to pick up a few extra eliminations along the way, but we'll have to wait and see how they will be turning this one into a win. Again, just so many great opportunities in terms of location and cover that they can take up, but it will come at the cost of having to rotate out to the open, as you can see here for Garuda team trying to find their way into safety.
Yeah, well, that is going to be one of our teams repping for the side there of Indonesia. Meanwhile, if we look over towards Well, that more southern edge, right? This is where Philippines also still looking to find a bit of an angle. I mean, these are some pretty decent compounds that they've taken occupation of. I almost read pancakes but I saw that it's bona cakes. But well, I mean, it's probably because I because I want a few pancakes to come in. Either which way, right? As we return up towards Stalber, there's going to be the players there from Spaghetti Slayers, Greece, both teams now trying to figure out how they're going to look to play this one, as we do have the Spaghetti Slayers starting to apply a little bit of that pressure moving through. I'm not quite sure that Greece is aware of the current positioning, but that could be a pleasant surprise. Well, looking at Melas, I mean, I think it's safe to say that Greece knows that they have some competition rotating into Stalber.
Yeah, likely they either were waiting for the team of Nordic who just rotated out, but likely would have heard those vehicles moving in. So they know they've got a few neighbors to deal with quite soon. Philippines, as we've seen, managing to get themselves out of that situation, moving in with all of their players still alive and well, waiting for the rest of this competition, while as as we know, rotating on through now, moving into the zone and finding themselves a good position. Snaking it up in the grass, looking for that opportunity, just waiting for the timing. Those shots now will be the trigger, will be the warning sign that there's danger lurking around the corner.
Well, it does seem like NATO and the rest of the squad here from Ratata being nice and quiet. Ooh, we can't say the same. Looking at the side here of Team PM, right? Rissa and the rest of the squad now being put on a slight bit of a back foot, but Philippines are going to be keeping that contention up. I mean, they want to defend this compound as best they can, and Ram now just going to be looking for a quick repositioning here as Rissa tries to pick up the hitbox straight through the smoke. Oh, but now the fight is on as the heat gets applied. Here we go. Ram actually getting traded on down, and this is the opening for Team PM here. Already taking quite a bit of damage. Gwen though, beautiful spray, but down goes Gwen. Oh, Codex running out of ammo.
That is insane. I thought it could have shifted the other way, but then Gwyn just came in like an absolute wild player. Ultimately, it was Jane, though, to close that one out, get the final hits in. And now, hopefully, the recovery will come through as quickly as possible. As we can see, there's still a few other teams in the vicinity who can jump in on that third-party action. But for now, it looks like they will have just a moment of peace to get themselves back up on their feet. Prestige Gaming also keeping an eye out here. I've seen some of those rotations move in. They're also one of the later rotating teams coming in at all the way from that blue zone up to this northern side. This is going to be a tough one, as we can see. As we wait to see how that zone is going to shift, it still favors Stolber. So that will give some opportunity to the teams who have shifted so far up north to just take a bit of a breather. Unfortunately, once again, Mavericks, the team of Baguettes, are going to have a bit of a tough rotation into the chaos.
Yeah, I mean, you can say the same. They're coming through from Spain as well as the players then from Prestige Gaming. We can see them holding on to that northern reach. But with the Zord now taking that western positioning, I mean, this is either uphill or downhill fight, depending on where these teams are positioned. But of course, if we start over on towards the western side, this is where things are going to get quite exciting, quite interesting here, as we have Gwen and the rest of the team now still on the defensive, still trying to bring in. Well, there they go. Bring all the teammates up. But now Vanguard 1 going to come knocking on the door here as Duck does a little bit of ducking. Trying to see if they can maybe find a bit of a hit. Of course, now Rissa essentially giving away their position with that smoke being deployed. But looking for hit markers as Griffin and the rest of the team now look for that approach.
Yeah, PM member back on up on their feet, and now immediately they can drop down as Vanguard moves in with a great spray down. Now this is the trigger for them to activate to find the remaining two team members still up and at it and take them out before they can recover their losses.
Well, let's see if there is going to be any opportunity for that to come in, though. Aries and the rest of the team here from Vanguard 1 still holding steady. I mean, just playing a serious game of hide and seek. And the only team that they really have to focus on at this point is going to be the team still held up right in front of them. So a lot of pressure coming through here for Team PM, as all they can do is look on and wonder how that rotation is going to come in. But of course, a little bit of utility can go a long way, as Vanguard don't want to get themselves exposed just yet. But of course, that time might be limited, as we can see. You know, the contention is there. Garuda also going to be holding on that edge angle, looking to reach in with a little bit of an upset. And Jane, yeah, this is such a difficult position to be caught in.
Yeah, it is pretty difficult. I mean, you've got a team right towards the drop side of this hilltop, so as soon as you want to rotate out, they'll have perfect eyes on your rotation. And then another team just right up ahead on the opposite end. So sandwiched now, unfortunately. Tough. Team Baguette. They finally rotated all the way up here to the top of Solver, and they are met with a very unfortunate set of circumstances as well, as we see Nordics taking one hit after another, now reduced down to 2. It's going to be a bit of an interesting one. I actually thought this was Baguette, but they have moved all the way up to the north side of the teams.
Well, let's see if Nordic are going to be able to find a bit of a foothold here. Yeah, we did see the players there from Baguette all the way towards that more northern positioning, just cresting over the hill, but the zone does move a little bit more towards that western side. Again, not a super aggressive shift coming through, but that is going to limit the opportunities, the available angles that these teams could occupy as they move upwards and onwards. But now Greece keeping it nice and steady. When a player... Well, I almost wanted to make a bit of a Greece joke here, but I guess I'll let that one slide. But in the meanwhile... Well, I guess I kind of just did. But either which way, as you can see, Velas and the rest of the crew also just slowly inching their way closer to that next shift. Risada having all the pressure riding on their shoulders as we got, well, still Vanguard 1 knocking on the door, looking to see how they can find that approach. But also then CIS going to be keeping a nice and steady defensive angle, essentially gatekeeping the zone.
Yeah, CIS, I believe, was the nail in the side of PM, as we see. Come through, and the elimination starts to pick up here for CIS. I have to say I'm very impressed with the other team of Prestige Gaming. They're already on 7 eliminations. As they moved up to the northern side have picked up 5, so we'll keep an eye out on that while we try and see how CIS will break this down. They've been so patient, they've been so steady, but now they face the team of Team Prestige Gaming moving into their territory, looking to take them out.
Ooh, and Grocko going in with a bit of a nade. CIS down to only 1, and this is going to be applying a lot of pressure, but maybe Zeus can get the job done here. Who knows? We'll find out soon enough, but a lot of pressure coming through towards this northern edge. I mean, a 1v4, not some easy odds to work with here. Delphin and the rest of the crew now just going to be relying on that ridgeline coverage to keep them hidden, at least for the time being. But Piston gonna run into a little bit of trouble there as 3 comes through with a beautiful hit. Now, maybe this could be that opportunity for Zeus to apply that extra little bit of spice, right? Maybe just to thunder on in.
I love the fact that Prestige Gaming pulled back, right? They were feeling a little bit overextended, so they pulled back to, brought in the rest of the team, but then unfortunately for them, Team Baguettes then moved on into this crossfire and had the perfect line of sight to Prestige. As we take a look at it now, as the highest elimination count is still in their pockets, and they might be able to take Prestige out as the only competition to that. Players, of course, here as the team of Team Greece have to duke it out for supremacy and control of this eastern side before they move on to the rest of the zone.
Still a heavily contested area here. We still sit with 9 teams left as that blue zone is going to start moving up, pretty soon. But in the meanwhile, Nico, you can see if they can maybe reach into that Greece spot, find a bit of Yoda, and they do succeed. Now, it's all up to Leo who is that led. Either which way, we'll find out soon enough how this one is going to play out. Antidote also backed up, but the blue zone is not going to be kind of beautiful opportunity getting presented there as they do secure at least that knock, but will it convert into elimination as Nico comes through with the DBS, and with that closes the door for Team Greece. Off they are. Now the pressure not going to be stopping there just yet, right? Still going to deal with quite a few plays as we still see, I believe that's Antidote just holding off in the distance. Yes, Antidote just hugging that wizard tower, but I see you could get spotted themselves as well, and maybe there's still some way for Antidote to get out of this.
It's gonna come down to timing. Yes, if CU just looks away for a moment, contrary to their name, then yes, there might be an opportunity for Antidote to get themselves out of the situation. But that is all going to depend on whether or not they have enough meds to keep them alive until that opportunity. As for the moment, Spaghetti Slayers, they are just locked down on this position. A few nades being sent out. Antidote going to be taking the charge into the zone and trying to get themselves out of this one. But Spaghetti Slayers set up and ready to waiting for this. Meanwhile, we turn our attention immediately back to Sanhok. Have a bit of trouble right up ahead of them.
Yeah, Garuda not going to be backing down as they come rushing on forward, but now the pressure is on here for Aries to try and survive. Unfortunately, down they go as Garuda does pick it up, getting a beautiful play here already now, sitting on 9 eliminations to their name. Prestige now feeling that heat, the pressure as Piston goes down. Kylie left to try and find that safe play, get himself situated within the zone. Ratata will get taken on down as we are left with only 6 teams. Now look at this, Forget. Also going to be looking for a bit of a strafe up the hill. Up they go. Ooh, now just picking up. Rained a few eliminations here, of course. It's going to be easy pickings, right? Just getting these confirmations secured. And that is exactly what Team Forget now does as they hit the double digits.
Oh, already making quite a bit of a statement. We have 2 teams now on the double elimination marker, so already applying a lot of pressure. My goodness. Okay, I was going to say applying a lot of pressure, but then Carl just came in and said, no, thank you. I will be taking that one. Thank you very much. So Baguette were down with an enormous amount of eliminations. They still will likely be sitting towards the top, but it's going to be up to a few solos to make a plan here to take out the remaining team and take the win for themselves.
I mean, these are some pretty tough odds to come through. As you can see, Garuda still holding on to that 2-piece, so maybe they could utilize the numbers advantage that they have at this point. Also, they've got that zonal positioning, so there's going to be a lot of pressure coming through here for Kyle, as they are going to be looking to get themselves looted up before pushing back in towards that next phase. Nico also keeping it nice, quiet, and steady. Not going to be looking to make too much noise. But of course, Matthias also just keeping themselves nice and quiet, right? Reserving a little bit of silence. But in the meanwhile, that blue zone is not going to be kind as Matthias now gets pressured. Now they have to make a play, look to get themselves secured. Just managing to dip out of the blue. But Ramsey on the front line is going to be looking to gatekeep the heck out of them. The utilities are loose. They get sent all over the place. And this could be an opportunity. 1v2 maybe turns in favor of Nordic. But now, oh, that is exactly what starts to happen here as Ramsey gets traded. The hit is in. Pretty sure that could be the closing play though. And now it is going to be up to V to see if they can maybe secure in a bit of an approach here. KV, again, finding themselves in a little bit of a difficult position here.
That's a little bit of an understatement. This is going to be a massively difficult position, as you can see, on the edge of that zone, having to rotate down. You've got Nordic just towards the left side, and of course, Team Garuda up with still potentially 2, if they can get that res popped off, is going to provide a massive blocker to Nico to move on forward. That zone will be moving on in, and this is where we will be seeing the clash of these 3 teams to see who will be picking it up. It's still possible, I would say, for pretty much anyone. Garuda, yes, down to 2. Reigning high with the best numbers, but these solos, depending on the timing of it all, could make it happen.
Well, who would have thought that we are going to be making it all the way to stage number 9, as we are just a few mere moments away from hitting that point. But of course, Matthias still keeping it nice and steady. I mean, there was quite a bit of aggression being applied onto the side there of Garuda. But now, the whole situation is kind of, you know, evolved into something completely different. And I'm curious to see what Ramsey is going to be bringing in. I mean, they've now been presented with another opportunity to get themselves back into contention. But the meanwhile is going to be Nico now suffering to a little bit of that blue juice. Fortunately, not that far to go. Oh, but they've been spotted. Up comes the hits, and that is going to be KV securing the Elam. Down to the final 2 squads to go. It is going to be a 1v2. Matthias again finds himself in contentious play. Oh, but the hit is in. Down goes Ramsey. But unfortunately, the health will not be on their side as that elimination goes straight to the side there of Garuda, taking our very first winner chicken dinner.
Hey, and an extra UC that they will be adding to the pockets as well. So absolutely congratulations to Garuda making that one happen in the midst of absolute chaos. Let's not forget they also had to take that position away from Vanguard 1. So they had to move in and make the play. And they won it out because of the hard work and the great team synergy that they brought to the table.
I mean, but what a contentious final phase that was. I mean, we had such a challenging play, especially moving in towards that Stolber region. I mean, especially looking back at round about that fifth, sixth phase, right? Once we made it to that point, the contention was there. The team's really struggling to find some good footing, being, having those angles, and of course, looking at the terrain. It is what we wanted to see, right? Super, super challenging, and of course, making the moderators really work for that winner chicken dinner. So, mad congratulations going out there to Garuda.
Absolutely. But it was an impressive bout from quite a few teams. As we mentioned, we saw quite a number of teams picking up some wild elimination counts. Prestige Gaming obviously coming to the top of my mind because of that shot from Kyle, but also Team Baguettes towards that point as well. And I think there was another team that also hit the double digit just for eliminations. So we'll be having quite a lot of contention overall on the ranking side of things, even though Garuda is going to be taking the winner chicken dinner. They might not be the ones at the top at the end just purely based on points.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at what we had coming through there from Matthias from the Nordic team, also, that was really, really close. I think if Matthias was maybe able to just add a little bit of that health in, things could maybe have gone a slightly different way.
There's always that opportunity. There's always that thought like, oh, if I didn't stand up 1 second later, or if I did stand up sooner, maybe something different would have happened. But it comes down to the timing of it all, and that's also in large portion to RNG of PUBG Mobile. So can't control every situation. But at least the moderators, they've seen enough PUBG Mobile to understand that. So I hope that they're going to be coming back into the next match, shaking it off, saying, whatever happened, happened. We did great in the first match regardless. Let's make it an even better showing coming through into the second match.
Yeah, I just want to confirm we just heard something from our producer. Could you just repeat that? Oh. All right, so yeah. So we are going to be taking a very quick break, so stay tuned, and we'll be back with you guys in a short few moments.
Halo, gue Satar dari tim Bigetron Villain. Kali ini gue bakal nunjukin ke kalian Spectre Slayer set dari Royal Pass A1 terbaru. Nah, set ini akan gue cocokin dengan warna khas Bigetron nih. Selain skinnya yang terlihat keren, skin ini juga bisa membantu kalian dalam match loh. Karena pilihannya yang banyak, kalian bisa warnanya dengan map yang kalian mainkan, biar bisa bermufase. Contohnya di Miramar, kalian bisa pakai warna kuning. Oke, jadi itu aja review Spectre Slayer set yang baru. Kalian nunggu apa lagi? Buruan login ke PUBG Mobile kalian dan unlock Royal Pass A1-nya biar kalian juga bisa saman kayak gua. Ditunggu ya.
everyone, and welcome back to the Mobile Moderators Challenge Season 2. Of course, if you missed the first match, well, you missed quite a bit. Erangel was absolutely on. So much happening, and of course, a glorious zone finish coming inside of Stolber. So it was a literal uphill moving into these last few seasons.
Look, it was tough, it was challenging to deal with. Again, just that flight path zone combination going all the way forward inside. No one really had them to breathe or time to take a break. He was rotating into that, so it was quite contentious, especially with that front, with all the teams having to rotate into the zone. Caused quite a lot of last minute for positioning, and we saw that Garuda, as they had to take that position first away from quite a few teams before they about taking the winner chicken dinner, but I played to them. They made it happen.
Yep, big congratulations going out to them. Of course, we are going to be taking a look at those match points momentarily to see how many points our teams were able to secure right off the bat. And of course, I mean, I'm excited to see this performance that we had coming very first match is going to transfer moving into game number 2. But of course, first up, a few more things as we jump straight into that. The overall standings, aka the match results, right? Because it's game.
Oh, that is wild. Look at it. Garuda team, they do a top because they got themselves 12 eliminations along with the winner chicken dinner. That is just overachieving, okay? Calm down. It's match number 1. But okay, 22 points is the top of the leaderboard as we take a look at Team Baguette and Prestige Gaming joining them in second place respectively with their fantastic performances. Some really bad showing whatsoever. Have to give a shout out to the likes of Nordic. They had a very tough rotation moving into Stolber. They were immediately greeted with such animosity, but they made it happen. They ended up in the top 5.
Yeah, well, big congrats to them, and of course, of it, right, there are going to be a few teams also not finding points out on the battlefield, as we get Azerbaijan, the players there from Esports Reds, Mavericks, as well as PT, and then, of course, the players coming from Espana, Spain, getting back empty-handed, but it's game number 1, right, still have at least for today, more matches to try and rectify the point situation. But looking at the phenomenal performance we had coming first game, it's going to be a tough one, right? But fortunately, it's still early enough to bring in the necessary changes. So with the Erangel now being done and dusted, Miramar can receive a lot of love and focus. But I'm excited because I want to see how these teams are going to be playing when it comes to a little bit more of a ranged assault, right? A ranged attempt, and that is the beauty of what the map of Miramar allows, is for teams to really play a lot more of a strategic position around the game, right? Utilizing all the terrain and ridge lines to get themselves secured.
Yeah, so I mean, moving in from Erangel to a map like Miramar, I hope that it would give some of the teams a little bit of a breathing room, because Erangel was quite chaotic, as we said, with that flight path and zone rotation. Didn't really opportunity to the teams to showcase their best performances, naturally, because of all the chaos. Moving into Miramar, hopefully it will be a different story, and we could be seeing someone fighting for that 22 pointer that Garuda just threw down like it was nothing. As we know, they're fighting for that prize pool, and as we know, with that winner chicken dinner, Garuda will add a little extra UC in the back pockets.
Oh, yes. Each of those winner chicken dinners, of course, being worth 4,000 UC. So there is going to be a great chance now, for the teams to add on to the tally. I mean, especially looking at, that first place, still 40,000 UC. It still blows my mind. Absolutely insane. But even the teams finding themselves a little bit further down, right? Anywhere from essentially that 9th to 16th position on the placement, right? On the overall standings, they can still try and add a little bit more to their tally. As you said, right, coming through with those winner chicken dinners. But it's all going to come down to how the teams kind of manage that momentum, right? Because at the end of the day, this is not a race. This is more of a marathon, right? Sure, a 2-day marathon, but still a marathon nonetheless.
Marathon, absolutely. A very short and a little bit wild and chaotic marathon so far. So that was a very explosive start to this marathon. I don't know how the teams are going to be topping that moving into Miramar. But as I said, maybe with the additional space, hopefully a little bit extra time, depending on how that zone to flight path is going to be looking like, will give them that opportunity to showcase their performances. Because as we know, this one was a little bit chaotic. So I don't want to take too much from this. terms of the stats and the predictions, that I wouldn't do very much differently in that match. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't really know what to expect moving in towards Miramar, but adds to the level of excitement, right? I mean, especially looking at what we've seen so far, there's a lot of unpredictability, right? I mean, it's one thing looking at professional players. You know where to expect them to drop. You know how to expect that rotation to come through. But I guess that's where the excitement comes through in this one. Is there's a lot of that unpredictability, and of course, speaking about unpredictability, one thing that is pretty cool is the fact that we are going to be moving into Miramar. We do see our flight path starting over towards that western side as we have the Prison Islands and Los Higos down towards that left-hand side. So yeah, looking at it, it is going to be a very westerly focused flight path, and the teams will have a little bit of an interesting opportunity here to get themselves situated.
I also have a little birdie telling me in my ear that we will be having those UC codes somewhere in game number 2. So do keep your eyes out on the screen for those UC codes to pop on up so you can claim your rewards, and you have to be quick. As we know, some players are just, or some viewers rather, are just so fast to pick up those UC codes. I've seen them go down in a couple of seconds. So let's wait and see who's going to be the ones to claim it this time around. But yes, a flight path to Miramar, a little bit closer towards the center side, will provide plenty of opportunities for teams to get to their favorite POIs.
Yes, POIs indeed, right? But, well, the points of interest, right? That's the fancy way of saying it. Points, places, whatever, you know, it's
same,
a P.
But different.
Yes. And what's also going to be same, but different is, we do have a bit of an opportunity coming in towards that Los Higos area. Surprisingly, Pecado, no surprise actually coming through, only having one team currently occupying that space. But a place that we definitely see a lot of attention being brought towards is up onto that San Martin region. And as we can see, we already have quite a few teams now dropping in and around that area. So I want to see if we are going to be having any major fights really breaking out at this point, because San Martin, Hacienda del Patron, that entire region does allow for some pretty sweaty plays, but of course the zone is going to commit to the southern edge.
This is just so opposite to what we saw over towards Erangel. So if they weren't too used to the north, well, thankfully for them, they'll be heading towards the south here. So still a lot of the water to involve in the first zone. We'll be cutting off a little bit of that playable area, not too severely at least. It's not very egregious in terms of what they have to deal with, but still quite an interesting rotation for teams very far up towards the north. Obviously looking at CIS, who find themselves all the way to ruins and a few others scattered along the way. But rotations should be relatively alright given the spacing on Miramar, so they should not have too much trouble with this phase. We'll have to wait and see how the next few phases are going to turn around to really start dealing with that challenge. But DK, moving into match number 2, like I said, it's a bit too early to give predictions, but who are some of the teams for you to highlight? We've highlighted Team Baguette, we've highlighted Ratatatas. Who else are you going to
The other team that I highlighted was Nordic, right? Because Nordic is nice. That's what I said before, and I'll stick to my guns. I'm also curious to see what we are going to have come through from the side there of Vanguard 1 and also the Spaghetti Slayers, right? Because, I mean, they did bring in a very interesting approach coming through in the previous match. Also, you could add in CIS to that, right? Because, I mean, they were also, quite a bit of a problem, as we did see that those defensive angles rather being held there. But Garuda, I mean, they just kind of set the bar, set that expectation, coming through with 22 points in the match. I mean, that is a good start by any standard, right? So I want to see whether or not we'll have that momentum carry over. But, of course, this is going to be an opportunity for the teams situated a little bit further down the leaderboard now to try and acquire all those much-needed points.
I have to say, for me, Prestige Gaming definitely stood out as one of those teams that just came in with such an aggressive energy, especially Kyle jumping in from the bushes, just taking out the Baguette so quickly and cleanly was a little bit daunting. So I'll definitely wait to see what Prestige is going to be bringing to this Miramar, given the spacing, given, again, the long-range encounters that we will be having. So maybe Kyle will make it to happen to their advantage at least. But let's take a look at Spain here, running off with the 3-piece and a little bit close and contentious with the likes of PTMS. So they do have to be a little bit careful. We don't want to see them jumping into some early action so early into the match and either of these teams losing a player.
Yeah, I mean, all they can do now is just look to lock in a little bit of opportunity here. Of course, PTMS all the way from the side there of Turkey. It's the PUBG Mobile Turkey Moderator squad, right? So,
Let's go.
yes, let's see, well, how they're gonna play this one. Aside from them, we also have Team PM that is also from Turkey, right? So we have a good representation coming in there. I mean, Prestige, they're also from, well, I'm trying to figure out exactly where they're from. So we got a little
bit of Switzerland, a little bit of China,
yes,
a little
yes.
bit of Turkey, a little bit of Belarus. So yeah, they're a bit of a team all over the show. But hey, there's the UC code jumping in as we were just so distracted trying to read flags. So yeah, for the viewers, go ahead and get those UC codes popping off to see who's going to be the ones to take it home.
Yep, fastest fingers first, right? So we should to hop on in. I mean, the worst case scenario is if you're not sure how to redeem that code, step 1, pause the feed. Step 2, make sure that you've already Googled, you know, the PUBG Mobile UC code. Just Google that, it'll take you to exactly where you need to go to redeem your code. And be sure to include your player ID when getting that redemption sorted. Speaking about redemptions, right? Spaghetti Slayer's now going to look to redeem a few points here as well. Maybe at the expense of Mavericks. It does seem like Mavericks, you know, they are going to be sticking around. They did take a little bit of damage on that monster truck, but that is pretty much it, right? Zero essentially took, well, 0 damage.
Absolutely. So they brought in an opportunity. We'll have to wait and see if they can close it. So we'll have to see if hopefully someone grabbed that UC code very, very quickly. If not, I'm sure they're busy doing so right away. But looking into the rotation, PTMS again, they're also running with a 3-piece as we saw Spain. So it looks like they're the only 2 teams that unfortunately enjoyed this map only with 3 players. We'll have to wait and see if they've managed to make that not happen coming back for match number 3 and 4, as it already puts them on a bit of a back foot. It's not, again, it's the most egregious thing. They can definitely make it happen with only a trio, but we want to give the teams as many opportunities as possible and put them on equal footing. So we'll have to wait to see what they're going to do with this one. But yes, rotations, and it looks like they're a little bit scattered.
Yeah, but I mean, that is kind of what we were expecting to see come through onto the map here of the lovely Miramar, right? It is a pretty vast map, and especially with 16 teams, it will take a little bit of time until we find, you know, a lot of that heads getting bumped by, I mean, Zeus, who knows? Zeus might get pressured as Team Baguettes come rushing in behind them, and of course this is where the players are resorting to the terrain instead of, you know, go for a little bit of that all-terrain utilization. As Zeus now, thanks to their stars, the shots not necessarily connecting on through, but Baguettes, ooh, they're gonna try and pick it up though.
As we take a look at this, we know Baguettes, they had a very good running over onto Erangel coming through in the first match, so they would definitely love to do even better, or at least replicate that performance moving into this Miramar, now given the extra spacing. CIS now going to be rotating off. Does look like a disengage was called, which is great to see. Give these players as much, you know, space as they need to. So let's see that they bring through the win. Hopefully they'll be able to get themselves a better positioning, but ultimately it's going to come up to them to take this rotation and hopefully find a better positioning within the zone and not the blue, because we know blue juice not going to help muddlers win chicken dinners.
Oh yes, I mean, and of course, right, too much of a good thing is not that good for you, especially if you're looking at the blue juice itself. But Tree now just making that motorcycle stand there like a tree itself, so that was exciting to witness. Meanwhile now Nordic also still going to try and get themselves situated down towards that southern side. We got a little bit of what looks like a crop circle happening on that end there. But look at the possession of zone, right? A decent spread coming through from the teams. Not an overly contentious area to play with. But as soon as we have our blue zone squads rotating on in, that is, of course, going to change up this whole entire situation. But I'm low-key hoping for a potential Los Leones or Chumasera kind of finish to come through here?
Oh, that would be spicy. So yeah, I mean, moving into a bit of a city finish, that would be a little bit wild. We are still going to be heading towards that southern point of Miramar, so that does mean we will still be involving the water. We will still be cutting out some of that playable area away from the rest of these teams, which is just going to add to the challenge, but it will be up to them to make this one happen. The Philippines once again. Are you gonna? I was gonna ask if they were gonna be surviving that one. Their vehicle rolled on down, they jumped out the vehicle, and as we can see, White Days was just ready to take them out.
Well, here we go now. White Days gonna be, well, looking on for Days. Oh, as they find an opportunity there, will it get it? Good Lord, come on, get it in. Oh, Philippines may now be in a world of trouble, especially seeing that they are now getting rushed upon. But I mean, this is the opportunity for Azerbaijan now to lock in a few more points. As we know, Erangel wasn't necessarily all favorable for them, but already they do get that first elimination in, so things are already looking up and up. But now, will they be able to really seal the fate here for the Philippines?
It'll be up to them. Just to get into safety. Philippines have pretty much a very tough challenge right up ahead of them. So already dropping 1-1 on the mend as they're ready to score for Ram. If they want to have at least one of their players moving on forward, you can see Spain unfortunately now finding also a little bit of trouble in the form of Vikendi, who finally get themselves to having to make some rotations, but they'll be happy to pick up an elimination for all of their troubles.
Yeah, that's esports red Ramiz now get taken on down. So let's see if Baguette will continue with the onslaught here. I mean, they still have a really good representation of players. But meanwhile, as we turn back in towards Picardo, this is going to be Azerbaijan now just rushing on through. Up comes Zico, looking to continue on with the chaos here. AC just holding in a little bit of a wibble wobble as that nade gets sent out. Unfortunately, not finding the damage. But the heat is on, right? AC just going to be keeping a nice defensive angle here, looking to see if they can maybe find a bit of an opportunity. But Siren and the rest of the crew. Oh, I love this approach though. I mean, Azerbaijan just pitching up so aggressively up into Picardo.
That's going to be a bit of an interesting one. Philippines now still holding on to the positioning here. Siren's on in, at least in the same building as Lacey. We'll be taking some time to try and break this one down. This is going to be interesting now. Waiting for that zone rotation as well is going to be adding to the pressure that they're going to have to deal with sooner or later. And at the moment, I mean, if you look at the positioning, Philippines, they have the better positioning. They have their backs to the zone. So technically, they're a foot ahead of the rest. They could make the gate happen here, but with the spread that they'll have dealing with, it's not going to be easy.
Well, I mean, work is work at the end of the day, right? They got to try and find that angle, and unfortunately the zone also not going to be all too kind to them, as we will have that blue zone starting to close up momentarily. But now the heat is going to be on, right? Because they've got the zone just towards that southern edge. So this is an opportunity for Philippines to bring in a little bit of that gatekeep, as we do say goodbye to Missy, as the blue zone gets the upper hand. But now Siren trying to find the opportunity. Ooh, I mean, I love this confidence coming through here from AC, right? Just waiting. Oh, but the third party peak is going to open up the opportunity. Unfortunately, the sirens go off, and that is AC right out of here.
That was spicy. Moving into this one, the Philippines under a world of pain, as well as Prestige moves in with a perfect nade to send the entirety of Philippines back home and packing, at least for match number 2. So we'll have to wait for Sanhok to make something happen on the overall standings, unfortunately. But as we move on, a few eliminations now in the bag for Prestige and, of course, the team of Baguettes and PMA. So they'll be leading the charge in terms of eliminations, but let's see how they'll be positioning themselves in the zone.
Well, it's all going down to who gets that code first, right? So we have a few requests, people asking where the codes are. There they are, right on screen. Is 400 UC, so be sure to get them in as quick fast as you can. This, of course, being the second code already for this match, and they will come in quite randomly, so you got to keep your eyes on the prize, right? Speaking about that, though, this is exactly what Prestige Gaming are going to be trying to do here, right? Trying to gatekeep the side of Azerbaijan. I mean, it's a great opportunity But I like the fact that Azerbaijan has looked to just step up with regards to that aggression. Meanwhile, CIS taking a little bit more of an Eastern approach, trying to find themselves a decent position to pull in towards.
Rotations into the action is definitely going to be difficult. They'll be moving in from that southern side. As we know, that zone is going to be providing these teams quite a bit of an interesting opportunity in terms of the terrain that they have to deal with over towards these mountainous regions of Miramar. Really going to give them that extra bit of challenge, which is going to make this pretty interesting, I would say, especially moving in to see how the teams are actually going to be dealing with these southern positions, already taking up those mountainous areas. You can see very big focus on that. Hopefully the zone will be rewarding them for all of their troubles. Indeed it will. So we've got, again, Garuda's in a perfect positioning. Mavericks will be joining them as well. Sapratatata at least have 2 in the zone. And then right there with the Spaghetti Slayers towards the center. So great positioning all around. We've got a few more stragglers, though, that need to get themselves into the zone.
Yeah, and that is going to be a challenge, especially looking at where that zone has centered up. I mean, especially looking at that region rather of the map itself, it's not an easy terrain to play through. But of course, it's not a lot of northern teams that have to commit to those pushes. So let's see where the congestion is going to come on in. Already center zone looking pretty exciting, as you've mentioned, right? You got the players there from Garuda as well as the Spaghetti Slayers. But of course, we look to the edge. Here's going to be PM and the side there of Azerbaijan in a bit of a standoff. Neither really wanting to be the first team to get found out, but at least the awareness is there, right? They've spotted the movement, and now let's see how they are going to be looking to react to that.
Absolutely. So we have to wait and see what that is going to mean for these teams who are trying to catch up to the likes of Garuda, who has already taken such a wild map #1, making a statement there with those 22 points. I mean, you can see over onto those rankings just to the side of the screen. The team in second place, well, yeah, definitely want to make it happen here in match #2 before Garuda run away. Meanwhile, we can see already they're applying some of the pressure as the remaining teams will be moving. NPM once again up on the chopping block for them. It just seems like Zico is on a whole different level.
Oh, but that's what we want to have, though. I mean, this is that opportunity. Azerbaijan definitely looking to kind of rectify a few of the plays here. As we can see already, 3 eliminations to their name. But now, will that be all at the expense here of PM? As you can see a lot of that aggression coming through. Gwen and the rest of the crew now looking to find a bit of a play. Up comes James now also just looking to fortify the angles. But look at that spread though. Zico are now going to get tested. Nice spray, but down they go. 2v1. Yeah, that's not an easy one to hold up to. So respect going out to Zico. But the rest of the crew in position. And that could have been a potential bait and switch now coming through here for the side of Azerbaijan.
Absolutely. I just wanted to highlight, some of the teamwork coming through from both of these teams. For PM, it was that double peak. It was making sure that they had that crossfire moving into that elimination of Zico. But as we saw, Zico was just playing time, trying to stay alive, give time to their teammates to rotate in for the assist. But as we talk about this, it's going to be a Garuda that might need a bit of assistance to take down some of these eliminations. Already one knocked, a few more potentially along the way as we wait to see what the Spaghetti Slayers can make it happen here.
Well, now here we go. The heat is there. Garuda, currently our defending squad at the top of the board. Ooh. Now continuing on with that momentum that they brought through from the first game. But is it going to be now up to them to keep that momentum going? Of course, the Spaghetti Slayers coming in with a bit of a reach here. I like this from CU. And of course, I mean, CU also kept that up all the way on Erangel, right? Making it through into those last few stages. But now, bang! Getting ready to bring in a bit of an upset here. Of course, still a few teams positioned all the way up north there, as we can see PM and Azerbaijan. That blue zone at some point is going to start getting the upper hand. But back in zone, once this next shift comes through, I think this is where we could have a little bit of an idea as to who could be finding themselves in a more favorable setup. And of course, it is going to commit towards the zone there of Vanguard 1 and, well, the rest of the teams that we already see in a bit of that contentious play.
I As we saw, Garuda is still in the thick of it there with these Spaghetti Slayers, as we do see the confirmation coming through finally from Azerbaijan picking up PM. So they'll be able to move into the zone with a few extra eliminations. Meanwhile, we still have to wait and see what's going to happen towards the center of the new zone. Garuda defending their position here, managing to pick up at least one elimination, so up to 23. You can see Prestige and Baguette second and third place respectively, actually tied for second, having to try and catch up. It's going to be quite a long haul, so they would definitely love to make it happen here before Garuda get too far ahead of themselves. As we know, only 4 matches a day that these teams have an opportunity to drop those points onto the overall standings. Riding high with the domination.
Well, let's see how much domination is going to be coming through, though, because, I mean, these positions, it's just still looking so difficult to play through. Oh, but here we go now. Spaghetti Slayers. I like the spread as they start to constrict the opportunities here for Garuda. But KB, as we saw, bringing in a very contentious play in the previous match, now being put to the test yet again. So here we have it. Oh, Nico just on the outskirts. It is going to be that rush opportunity. You got to watch out for those nades. So KB could be fighting it, but will they be able to place it? And now the nade. Ooh, not going where they would have hoped. The beautiful preemptive spray there from Nico. Gets one. Will they get the last? Yes, indeed. And there we have it. Garuda getting obliterated. Down they go. Spaghetti Slayers now in the thick of it.
Yeah, you can say that again. We saw that this was quite a contentious fight for the center of the zone because of this positioning, but now we continue to wait and see who will be joining them in this prestigious opportunity. Now down to 2 players, and CIS still holding on to every nook and cranny of this compound, trying to make sure that they can be the only one stepping out of this and moving forward. We can see Nordic as well, hearing all the commotion. They're going to be rotating into the third party. So it's going to be down to these 2 players to see who's going to be that team meeting the third party and hopefully.
Oh,
surprise.
Yeah, Shanky now getting well taken on down, as Esports Red will not survive beyond this point, at least finding themselves those 2 eliminations. But a good defensive strategy coming through there from the side of CIS, but it could be short-lived, as you pointed out. Nordic now creeping in on them. Linus and the rest of the crew getting ready to apply a little bit of that surprise element here. Also, we have the players there from España, Spain, coming through on the edge. Look at Siren. Just narrowly surviving that nade. That was a beautifully placed one coming through from the side of Baguette, though. No, it's going to be a 4v1. Shalona also gets taken on down, and this could be that opportunity now, right? This could be that exact chance that Team Baguette are looking for to find even more eliminations.
Absolutely, this has to be the opportunity, the turning point for them to make something happen. I don't even get to finish my sentence because the Baguettes move in with a fantastic nade to lock that one down and once again try and catch up to the side of Garuda, who have dropped such a wonderful amount of points. You can see Prestige as well doing a pretty good job picking up 2 eliminations. Nordic up with 3. Baguette up with 2, so not too bad of a position for them to try and close that gap. But now PTMS will be spotting out all of that action right up ahead of them, deciding that maybe they don't want to get involved just yet. A rotation to the zone might be the better focus, especially considering that this position is not going to give them the best opportunities, both in terms of line of sight onto Baguette and in terms of cover.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that point, but of course, now speaking about cover, Antidote definitely going to get tested on this one as they are getting rushed, and oh, Baguette again locking in yet another elimination. Still 2 players now remain for the side there of Greece, or 3 players actually, as they've lost their first. But we've got the players then also from Prestige Gaming hanging in the wing, so there could still be quite a bit of an upset to come through here. But Greece, I want to see how they're going to deal their way through this one, as Melas, LED, and Yoda could maybe find a bit of an approach. Baguette, I mean, it's like they found some crazy momentum, especially moving up in towards this match here. But of course, with that, we do say goodbye to the side there of PTMS as they get taken on down. Spade also finding a little bit of a play onto the side there of Maverick, so we can see it coming through in the feed. But Nordic also have a bit of a chance here. Already 5 eliminations up. I mean, there is a bit of an opportunity to sneak on through, but I think the angle being held there by Prestige Gaming is going to prove quite challenging, especially looking at the terrain.
It'll be up to Prestige Gaming to make this one happen. Again, it's going to come down to how they hold this angle and how they keep the likes of Baguette or anyone else trying to take this away from them at bay. So it will be very much down to the player and how they're going to be able to hold that angle. In the meantime, Nordic and Baguette going head to head, so that will give them some time to try and sight this opportunity here as we look on. Baguette, a few nades being prepped. That zone going to be coming in. A few explosions to follow suit, and Nordic find 2 down. It looks like they might be on the leg up here to take down the Baguettes and take this map for themselves.
Well, only time will tell, but the nade does secure a nice trade on either end, though. As you can see, Baguette and the side of Nordic in a very, very challenging play. Both sides now trying to secure themselves at least a bit of footing here, but of course Prestige now just raining down a bit of chaos. They have that compound under control, and all they got to do now is just defend, seeing that we still have 7 other teams that are going to be looking to contest them for the beautiful situation they have there. But now, look at Baguette, right? Trying to find that approach. I mean, one nade could spell quite a bit of disaster coming through onto the side here of Nordic. But will it reach, though? Because both teams still holding steady. I mean, Nordic down to 3-piece. Baguette down to 3-piece. But Nordic definitely looking to pick up, as they've already gotten so many eliminations secured. Again, where do you play from here? As Greece now also gets spotted out.
Greece now trying to step on in. They had a bit of time to watch to see on what Nordic and Baguettes were doing. And as I said, they had time to dissect that situation, see how they could get involved. But unfortunately, looks like they would be joining this a little bit late. Meanwhile, we've got the Spaghetti Slayers keeping Spain and Saparatata at bay all the way to the outskirts of the zone. That blue will be coming in, and all of a sudden, we'll be saying goodbye to Spain as we just wait to see what Ratatata is going to be doing about it.
Yeah, Elam Yo coming through as Spain gets sent on down. Unfortunate play, but that is the way the cookie crumbles. Now Greece going to be feeling a little bit of heat. Of course, the code's up on screen yet again. So be sure to get your fingers on that. Get them claimed up. I believe this is code number 4 that we've seen already so far. Meanwhile, it's going to be Tornado. Ooh, running into a bit of a storm there as Nico stops them in their tracks. Super Ratatata also now getting taken on down. Nordic still looking to build up a lot of that momentum. As you can see, still a heavily contested and congested zone coming through. But with that, we are down to only 3 as Greece get taken out. And again, right, this is where things start to alleviate a little bit of that pressure. I mean, Vanguard 1 still going to be holding on to a beautiful northern edge, but looking at the zone itself, it is playing in favor here of Prestige. I mean, they have the compound, and they don't really have to rotate all that much.
No, there's a great opportunity here for this to take this actually a little bit further and say goodbye to Nordic. The Spaghetti Slayers, a bit of a rush trying to take that compound down, but Prestige will be ready and waiting for that, so they will reduce them down to 2. As we have Vanguard 1 and Prestige, the only 2 teams still here with full players. Vanguard already taking a hit. This is going to be interesting. Prestige, they have the best positioning out of the 2, but they are sandwiched between these 2 teams. So again, it's going to come down to how they manage the expectations of all of the surrounding teams, and timing. As we can see, Kyle once again stepping up to be that saving grace for Prestige.
Well, let's see how this one pushes in, right? Kyle now holding it steady. Oh, but look at the sprays coming through from Nico. But down they go, Prestige. Just pulling that one out of the bag. But at least Spaghetti Slayers get sent away with 12 eliminations to their name. Now, this is the opportunity for Vanguard 1 to maybe try and capitalize on the damage already dealt into the side of Prestige. You can see Vanguard is coming through with their 5 eliminations. We can see the codes on screen yet again. So be sure to get your codes redeemed as quick, fast as you can. But let's see now, right? It's going to be that push. The final showdown, 4v4. To have this winner chicken dinner come in. We got Croco now up on the ridge, trying to sneak their way on through. Vanguard trying to take a slightly different approach, trying to play a little bit more of a stealthy angle here.
Yeah, timing was definitely not on the cards necessarily for Vanguard 1. They took a little bit more time to rotate in. So Prestige already back up on their feet, waiting and ready to take this winner chicken dinner home. But it's going to be down to this rotation. We can see a bit of a, ooh, I like this flanking position from Croco. This could make all the worlds of a difference for Prestige to actually take this one away from Vanguard, especially considering with their 3-1 split. You see code up on the screen, so grab it while you can as we wait to see who's going to be the winner.
Oh, it's going to be down to this. It is going to be down to this. You can see Griffin and the rest of the crew now here from Vanguard looking to find that approach. Croco now, ooh, slightly exposed, but they get the shot in as Frozen gets put on defrost. And this is where Vanguard now face quite a bit of a challenge. As Prestige, they have still a very strong representation here. And Vanguard, they are all now just conduced down to one single position. One nade could end this match. But here we go, the rush is up. The DBSs are flying through. And there we have it. Kyle and the rest of Prestige secure themselves the second winner chicken of the day. Absolutely phenomenal run. But of course, the first one coming through from Prestige. So what a play.
No, absolutely Prestige. As I mentioned, there was something else. They had this energy in Erangel, and I said, moving into Miramar, I felt like there might have something more coming through from them, especially from Kyle, as they make this one happen for Prestige. So absolutely just incredible work from them. Positioning was key for them, but also just the player, the individuals that moved in with that firepower made it happen. So fantastic, fantastic work, and that means an extra little bit of UC in the pocket for Prestige Gaming.
Oh yeah, speaking about UC, of course, we did see quite a few codes picked during the broadcast as well. So, I mean, you see how they come in quick, fast, right? Of course, quite randomized. So be sure to have your redeem steady, right? So when you see the codes appear on screen, you can just quickly write them down, get them redeemed. But yes, a very exciting game coming through. Of course, Miramar not just so ever. And I gotta love the fact that like that slightly more southern shift coming through, because the terrain be so challenging, and of course moderators through the ringer. I mean, we have it now, challenge, right? We want to see this. And so far, it's resulted in a very aggressive showing coming through from teams in particular.
Absolutely, it's really been putting these teams should we, as much as our moderators, we I guess want to have them be challenged just a little bit, just a little bit to showcase their talents in these very difficult situations. So I mean, congratulations to them. We had such a northern shift over towards Erangel, such a southern shift over towards Miramar. So in terms of challenge, I think we've definitely ticked that box off. They've been having quite a few challenges today on their own. So waiting into the last two matches, I mean, who are a lot more condensed and we have a lot less spacing to work with, it is going to be quite a bit of an interesting one.
Well, it is going to be quite an exciting one, but of course, as we know, that kind of brings us to the end of match number 2. So we are going to be coming back with our results and our standings and everything of the sort very, very soon. So be sure to keep your eyes absolutely glued to the screen. In the meanwhile, we are going to be taking a quick break. So we'll see you guys back in a short few moments.
Halo, gua Satar dari tim Bain. Kali ini gua bakal nunjukin ke kalian spek Spectre Slayer pas A1 yang terbaru. Nah, set ini akan gue cocokin dengan warna khas Bigetron nih. Selain skinnya yang terlihat keren, skin ini juga bisa membantu kalian dalam match loh. Karena pilihannya yang banyak, kalian bisa sesuai warnanya dengan map yang kalian mainkan, biar bisa berkamuflase. Contohnya di Miramar, kalian bisa pakai warna kuning. Oke, jadi itu aja review Spectre Slayer set yang terbaru. Kalian nunggu apa lagi? Buruan login ke PUBG Mobile kalian dan unlock Royal Pass A1-nya biar kalian juga bisa samaan kayak gua. Ditunggu ya.
Hello guys and welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Moderators Challenge Season 2. Of course, the first 2 games done and dusted, so that means we've hit the halfway marker, at least for the day, and we are a quarter of the way done with everything in its entirety. But of course, we've seen a little bit of that sweaty action, and I say a little bit, I mean a lot of sweaty action coming through in those previous 2 matches. And of course, speaking about which, we are going to be taking a look at the overall standings to see where the teams find themselves, how many points they've been able to find so far. And of course, we did see a lot of aggression. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, we did have at least 3 teams again coming through with those double-digit elims.
It's wild. And as we're taking a look at it, we could see those live updates in the scores to see how close the teams were getting. Ultimately, to Garuda, as they did go pretty. We can take a look at those overall standings to see how that might have changed, and it did. My goodness. We take a look at it. Prestige Gaming now reigning supreme as the #1 team. No surprise, as they took that previous winner chicken dinner, sitting pretty with 36 total points.
Yeah, but I mean, it's already in the name there as well, right? Prestige. That's what they've brought out onto Miramar, so well done to them. But yeah, still a very contentious spot coming through between Spaghetti Slayers Garuda. As you can see, them now only separated by 3 points. Then, of course, if we look a little bit further on down, I believe that is going to be the side there of Nordic and Co now also still just holding nice and steady. But let's see what the situation brings as we move to the second page. PTMS, unfortunately, not finding any points so far just yet. But I believe in the next match, this could be the opportunity for that to definitely change up, right? Because as we know, moving into the next match, we are going to be heading into a little bit of that lovely, lovely snake in the grass action. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for upsets to come on in. But yeah, I mean, the pressure is there. I mean, Supratata, such a fun name to say, but we want to see a little bit of that aggression being brought to the battlefield as well, right? We want to see a lot of popping off coming in. But of course now, well, let's see how this goes.
It's going to be a bit tough, but overall standings already looking pretty spicy. Moving into Sanhok next is going to provide that extra bit of challenge. It might give that opportunity to all of the teams to really start picking up the pacing on their elimination count. So that hopefully will give them an opportunity to close the gaps on the overall standings. As you can see already, Prestige is just kind of running wild with the points. And if no one stops them, I don't see how it's going to be ending anytime soon.
Yep, I have to agree with you on that one. So there's going to be a big task at hand here, right? Sanhok, the map that allows for a lot of that aggression to come through. I mean, again, this is the opportunity for the teams situated a little bit lower on that leaderboard now to really step it up and maybe bring in a bit of an upset here because, I mean, even like you might not be able to, walk away with that 40,000 UC. You still have a bit of control here, right? You can decide who then potentially gets that. So I guess to see how these squads are going to be utilizing what great power they possess. But again, an absolutely phenomenal prize pool for these teams to be working for.
Absolutely, getting a little bit of that UC for all of the hard work that they do time and time again. So I'm very glad we get to give them a little bit of something back. So absolutely fantastic opportunity to be here for PMMC Season 2. But as we know, Prestige extra 400 UC that they'll be adding to that pocket. I don't think it's 400. It's a little bit more than that. Doesn't make me do
Add a zero. Add a
4,000.
Yes.
Oh, so an extra 4,000 UC that they'll be adding to the back pocket. And for the viewers, of course, they have an opportunity to grab a few of their own 400s as we move into the matchups. So be sure you keep an eye out on those UC codes that will be popping up on the screen. You need to grab them quick. I think there's also been a bit of information on how to do that exactly in the comments, so you can take a look at that.
Well, yes, speaking of which, it's time to rumble as we get down to Snake Village. Of course, it is going to be the lovely Sanhok that is going to be making its way on through. It does seem like the flight path is heading up towards that northwestern side. Yes, indeed. But of course, Sanhok's flight path doesn't matter all too much. The teams can still essentially reach all over the place. What is going to be more important is where that first zone is going to be revealing itself. And we do have a beautiful spread as the teams are disembarking, right, looking to get themselves situated. We can see Sapratata already heading down towards Painan. They are, of course, then accompanied by the side there of the players coming through from Esports Red. So the heat is going to be on, looking for a little bit of that hot drop action. But of course, Azerbaijan, they will have the entirety of boot camp for themselves.
Oh, okay. So no one's really going to be challenging the boot camp. Very interesting to see. I'll have to wait to see if we have any other hot drops. We do see Vanguard 1 a little bit spread out apart. So it looks like at least one of the players, that being Griffin, of course, not dropping with them on Ruins. But they should be able to get that one closed up and get that the rest of the team at least regrouped. CIS also very split apart. We see some of them pretty close to the likes of what looks like the Spaghetti Slayers. So there's also a little bit of danger there, but ultimately... I said that, yep. CIS will be dropping a player almost immediately. As I wanted to say, they might be able to run back. Maybe not.
Ooh. Well, it's not going to stop there. As we can see, PTMS definitely coming in with a lot more aggression as CIS already losing the first two, right? So that's going to be Aquaman going down. Oh, it sounds like Aquaman. Hey! And Scream, the first two players that are not going to be making it beyond this point. But now it's going to be up to maybe Zeus and Dagger to see how they're going to play this one through. Still a little bit of a spread out approach there as the Zoran does settle towards the northeastern side. And this is going to be a favorable play, especially looking at the players going through there from Prestige. I mean, holding on to Paradise, but you can just know that they are going to be heavily contested potentially for that Paradise region.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's such a good positioning, especially with the zone considerations. So we might see a little bit of a battle for real estate as we wait to see what teams are going to be looking at in terms of those positionings to be hauled into the next section. But we'll have to wait a little bit some more. But yeah, I mean, so far, I'm really, really impressed with Prestige Gaming. The Spaghetti Slayers haven't been doing badly at all either. I mean, they've really been so contentious in terms of the constant conversation we have about them. They're always in, you know, yes. Man, what a tough way to start a Sanhok. Already dropping 2 players. 3 players. Oof. Can't even see. Yeah, that's 3.
Yeah, a little bit of a oof coming through there, but for CIS, no. I mean, they're not out of it just yet, so maybe we could still see if something is going to be coming in here. Meanwhile, it is going to be the players there from PM holding on towards the docks area, and again, finding themselves in an uncontested area, right? So they can yet once more go about their looting business, get whatever they think they are going to be needing moving through these next few phases. But in the meanwhile, Sabratata and Mavericks could find themselves in a bit of an altercation.
Oh, I would love to see that actually come to fruition for Sabratata, as one, I like to say the name, and 2, they need a little bit of those extra points. As we've mentioned, it's a very top-heavy placement at the moment, and speaking about top-heavy, there's a UC code for you to grab, so please, be quick, be fast, let's get in a few of those extra 400 UCs given out to the rest of the players, and it looks like we have quite a few UC codes, so if you don't get this one, don't worry, there's a few more coming along the way. You just have to keep your eyes peeled and hopefully be ready with those redeems. Meanwhile, yeah, as we said, I mean, for teams like Sapratata, like anyone who has those single digits on the overall rankings, they definitely need to make sure that Sanhok is the match where they catch up.
Well, let's see if they are going to be able to play that catch-up game, though. But now, Levi just limbering themselves up, as you can see, you know, that preparation being brought through here. I'm actually curious to see how this 2-2 split is going to work out for the side of Mavericks. In fact, actually, it's a 2-1-1 split. But Superatata are going to be looking to play the terrain, as we got Tornado and the rest of the crew heading up to the hills. Speaking about heading up to the hills, we have, of course, the side of Greece now, also just pushing across the bridge, having a very uncontested rotation all the way up towards this northern side. But how's this going to play out, right? Are they going to try and maybe move closer towards that bootcamp region? Are they going to maybe look for a plunge all the way down in towards that smack dab center zone? Well, whichever way they look to play it out, they got to watch out because Philippines are situated just towards that northern edge. As we got the Ram and the rest of the crew, and they're also just going about their business here.
Going to be very interesting to see how these teams will be dealing with it. Like you said, the Spaghetti Slayers, they've been doing fantastically. They've constantly been finding these opportunities. Now they might even be finding, the last player here of CIS who's just been running from one altercation to another. But that's a good return, at least finding the one trade. Not sure if they're going to be ready for the entirety of either the Spaghetti Slayers or the team that's rolling up right behind them.
Well, let's find out as the nade has been cooked up. Oh, Zeus, no, one hit is all that's needed for Levi to close that one up. Here we go, Spaghetti Slayers now and Mavericks ready to get into a bit of a tussle. The sprays are there, the damage is being dealt. See you and Thomas. I think that's Thomas, I hope so. I mean, if it's something else, then whoopsie. But Mavericks not getting ready for a bit of a push, yeah. Elam Yo holding it nice and steady. Meanwhile, Garuda, they've run into the side of Esports Red. And so far, Esports, I mean, down to Ramiz. But will we see Esports Red may be able to close it up and bring an end to the side of Garuda?
That's going to be a bit of an interesting one. We know Garuda, they started off the day strong, finding the first. But since then, Prestige has just been catching up with such steam and such prestige of their own that is going to make it a bit difficult here. Garuda would definitely love to take Spain out, give themselves that opportunity to catch up to the top slots, hopefully to take the higher share of the prize pool. And so far, it looks like Ramsey will be stepping up for the team. Finding great confirmation is going to send Ramiz running from Ramsey. So run away from each other, and hopefully we can see Spain staying alive into this match.
A little bit of R&R is always a good thing, right? But in the meanwhile, the Mavericks also still holding onto the position alongside the Spaghetti Slayers here. As Mavericks now look for a bit of an opportunity. Zero. Ooh, a nice sneaky approach around the rock. But, I mean, they're going to have to act relatively quickly, as we can see the players there from Prestige also then moving through from that northern approach. So the pressure is going to be on. And Nico, ooh, almost has the opportunity, finds a bit of damage, but not getting sufficiently so to get that confirmation secured. But of course now up comes the push here as Levi tries to play a bit of an off angle, maybe trying to bait and switch them out of this position. But of course Prestige also now trying to move up. Of course the players there from Sapratata just hearing all the noise being made. And I mean, this is the beauty of Sanhok, right? Make too much noise and you are going to get pushed on by several other teams.
Yeah, this is the fun, the beauty of Sanhok, which is why I love it. It's just so much chaos for these teams to deal with. We even see PM actually taking a bit of a swim, yeah, it looks like a swim. So they'll be out of contention, out of all of this chaos for a little bit while longer, but there's still going to be a bit of a rotation now to happen. As we can see, the Spaghetti Slayers and Mavericks coming through from that northern side. Sapratata just through Ban right now, so we'll have to wait and see if they're going to be getting involved there with that third party. We still have at least one from Spain and, of course, the team of Garudas to make that rotation, so they might actually end up right behind these players for another third party. So, unfortunately for these teams, it's just third party to fourth parties to fifth parties all the way to the end of Sanhok.
And that's what we want to see. Sanhok is definitely the big party map here. But in the meanwhile, Griffin not going to be partying. Just going to be keeping it nice and steady, nice and quiet. Don't want to get found out just yet. I mean, Philippines also holding on to a very interesting position. I mean, looking at the rice fields that they have at their disposal, that ridge definitely does sneak a lot of opportunities through here. The Codex, though, I mean, LED keeping a nice steady angle on that, but the terrain not allowing that reach to come on through. Meanwhile, Spaghetti Slayers now rotating a little bit further towards the eastern side, and this will lead them straight towards Sabratata. But, you know, is Sabratata, though, going to be able to receive them?
That's going to be the question. Not everyone's always ready for all of this chaos, and not everyone's always ready to pick up those UC codes, so please, go and grab them. Let's get some rewards given out to our wonderful viewers as well as an additional thank you for tuning in and supporting all of the fantastic moderators that work so hard for us every single day. But as we take a look at it, it is Garuda already feeling a little bit of the action, feeling a little bit of that burn, as at least one knock will be going their way. I have to wait and see if that's going to continue. Maverick so far, they've been doing well to hold on to their positioning.
Well, let's see if they'll be able to do that for the remaining time here, as we are approaching the end of our second stage. But now, Sabratata, I mean, looking quite comfortable. I like the fact that they are quite mobile. Definitely trying to do their due diligence here. They don't want to get jumped, right? That is the worst thing that could happen to you, especially right here on Sanhok. But now, they've spotted a bit of an opportunity. Let's see how Sabratata will be reacting towards this encroaching threat coming through here from the side of the Spaghetti Slayers.
I just can't get over the fact that we have a team called Sabratata. Like, I'm trying every ounce of my body to just stay serious. But, yeah, I just love it. I just love it. But of course, we've got a few more teams now joining into the action. A little bit of a reach across coming through from Nordic, trying to see if they can take a few extra points into the pockets. Again, very good positioning for them. They've got equal opportunity over towards Spain. They can see a few of the other teams rotating in as well. So massive, massive opportunity for them to pick up eliminations here. But it will come with that equal risk. As soon as they step up, as soon as they try and get that line of sight, they are exposing themselves to the surrounding teams. And we've got a few more that need to rotate in as well to join the action, of course. This is going to be a bit of an interesting one. DK, in your opinion, which position would you rather be taking here?
Ooh, that's a tough one to answer. But I would definitely say maybe the angle that we see either Baguette or the players from Nordic occupying, as you know, they have a bit of reach playing towards that northern side of the zone, but I think essentially this next shift is going to be that determining factor whether or not those positions are going to be worth any good, because, well, the zone could still throw quite a few surprises as it does move a little bit further on towards that southwestern side. And this is where things could maybe start to turn on its head, right? Because, again, Philippines and, of course, the players coming through there from the side of Greece are holding onto some very contentious angles. But looking up towards where we have Prestige, I mean, that could also be quite an angle to utilize, right? Holding onto that Paradise Resort, especially looking at the team still having to move into the area.
It's going to be a very interesting position. I'd say also, as we said, Philippines for Vanguard, for Greece, the coastal line position that they're going to be holding is going to give them some interesting angles to deal with, especially with those rotations, but also gives them a little bit of that safety from that western side, as they shouldn't really be expecting anyone. At least they don't know that, but we do. Ramsey, meanwhile, taking a wild rotation right through PM, so that's a bit of a statement of war, but they will at least be surviving this wild ride through enemy lines. But we'll see. Team PM just hunkering down for the time being after their swim. They've rotated in here now. They still want to group up before they try and take on any of these fights, which I appreciate. But Ramsey, unfortunately, Nordic is not going to be so nice.
Well, let's see now. Up comes Halosh, looking for a bit of an approach here. We can see the side there from Nordic, just off in the distance. But, I mean, I think that cheeky push coming through from Garuda actually might have just woken up the side here of PM. Of course, now Gwen is going to be put to the test. As you can see, the Nordic squad pulling in alongside them here. Ooh, Matthias, about to get spotted up. Gwen now trying to snake, but unfortunately the shots are not going to be working in their favor. And this still opens up the opportunity for the rest of the squad there coming through from the side of PM, as we can see Rissa and Jane holding nice and steady. Halosh does get confirmed. And Matthias definitely doubling down on the aggression. But it's going to be a 1v2 coming through towards the northern edge. Oh, but it does seem like Nordic, they have some other plans, right, going through then for the side here of PM.
Like to see this one, but unfortunately I would have liked to see a better opportunity for PM. They made such a vast rotation rather, and unfortunately they are just greeted with a mayhem, so we will be saying unfortunately goodbye to them. You can see Prestige really picking up a few more potential eliminations. Paradise starting to cook up. Sapratatata have joined in and they are looking for a piece of the action. As Prestige, they're trying to defend their title. They're trying to defend this positioning on the overall rankings and make sure that no one is going to take it away from them.
Well, I mean, they do have a great opportunity to definitely lock it down. But with Sapratata sneaking on through, I mean, it's surprising to think that we still have 13 teams remaining in this match. Of course, with that, just as I said it was going to be Duck to get taken on out. And now the heat is on towards that lovely Paradise Resort, but the blue zone is going to be doing its thing. Meanwhile, the players from the side of Vanguard 1 contesting for control of the western side. Philippines, a very emboldened spread that they've got there. I like the fact that we have Ram and their teammate right on the front line, you know, having the ability to get quite aggressive. But of course, then AC and Bonner Cakes holding that slight off angle there. But of course, the zone is going to be pulling a little bit more now towards that Paradise region. And this is going to be applying all that pressure coming through onto the side there of Prestige and whether or not they can actually hold on. But now, Philippines looking to capitalize as they've already been able to deal quite a few blows into the side here of Vanguard 1. But Griffin, this could be a beautiful play.
Oh, let's see it happen here. Philippines, they had a tough battle on the previous matchup. Definitely would love to make this performance much better. Vanguard 1 in a similar position. They would like to pick up a few more points, as we can see, holding on the overall standings. They're not too far off from our top teams, but Prestige has just been running away with all of these points so far. So they need to make a move on. They need to make something happen in this one. Taking a look at this now with these rotations, with the blue zone coming in. I would like to see Philippines just group up a little bit more so that they can have that extra firepower if something should happen. And for Prestige, I mean, they're doing exactly that. They're keeping themselves close-knit. They're keeping themselves as a bit of a bait and switch. As you can see already, the pickup is there. Now Prestige, they move on in for the finish.
Yeah, there's going to be Delphine now also just rushing up on that rage, accompanied by, well, the rest of the crew. And now Azerbaijan going to be falling in their wake as already 3 players have been confirmed. It now turns to Zico to see if they can hold on. Unfortunately, Azerbaijan not finding themselves single elimination at this point. But the heat is going to be on, though. I mean, Prestige. Oh, just showing such confidence as they've been moving through that lovely Miramar. Now up into Sanhok. I mean, it's going to be tough for any of their remaining teams to really bring in a bit of that contestation to them. But of course, speaking about that, we have our code on the screen there yet again, so be sure to go in and get yourself claimed a little bit of that UC. Glorious 400 UC up for grabs as we wait for the teams now to start to condense the zone down. It's going to be Spain moving up towards a PTMS here, and massive the rest of the crew also just holding onto their compounds.
Spain now going to be sending out a little bit of utility, but it is going to be PTMS to hold the line to make sure Spain don't close in on their positioning. Waiting for a bit of an opportunity here. We can see a bit of a reach in with the Philippines as they would love a piece of the action. We do have, actually, we have Greece picking up some great eliminations as well as the Philippines over towards Vanguard 1, who find themselves in a bit of a sandwich. You can see already 2 knocks, a little bit of a confirmation as well to the side of Philippines. So that's going to be a lot of back and forth over towards that western side. You can see the south, you can see the north. Everyone is contested at the moment except Nordic, as they move into this next phase.
I mean, Nordic, slightly blessed. Now even more blessed as the zone has played out quite favorably towards them. But again, that spread could be quite a point for them to try and capitalize upon. Meanwhile, it's going to be the Spaghetti Slayers now finding themselves in a bit of a situation here. Mavericks just doubling down on the aggression, but it's not going to be an easy one to push through. As you can see, the blue zone going to be doing its thing starting in the next 20 seconds. And this is where we are going to be seeing quite a few teams now also starting to get eliminated.
This is going to be a bit of an interesting one. Mavericks taking that rotation in. Oh, but Kyle once again. I don't know from where, but every single time it is Kyle to make a statement, to just pick up some wonderful eliminations, definitely just ringing it in for their team. We can see Spain now also feeling the pressure as PTMS has finally moved on in, and they've turned this one on its head. We thought Spain was the ones applying the pressure, but no, PTMS, they are here to turn it around.
Well, some good sprays coming through here from Victus, but still 2 to work through as we got Kazu and Blue. Oh, but up comes the hits now, fishing for whatever hit markers they can find. But the Blue enveloping Victus, now limiting their approach. Massive, also going to be keeping a bit of an off angle there. I mean, ideally we would have loved to see Victus and Massive move up side by side. And this could still allow for a bit of a turning point coming through here for Spain. As you can see, Spain now focusing all the way over towards Nordic. And this is just trades all over the place. 7 teams remain, 19 players left. Spain yet to find themselves a few points.
It's going to be a difficult situation. Nordic still in a bit of trouble, but they do pick up at least 1 towards the side of Prestige. After wait and see, well, there's the confirmation, actually, a courtesy of Greece. And, oh, Prestige in a little bit of trouble as well as the Spaghetti Slayers move on in. But this is quite a tall order to put on the shoulders of one single player, especially with Nordic, making it difficult.
Yeah, and Zico, of course, now going to be playing the upset, right? Just sneaking in from behind. Matthias now having all that pressure riding on their shoulders. Are they going to be able to pull through? The code's also now appearing on the screen there as the heat continues to rise. So be sure to grab your codes. It is going to be a first come, first serve. Now Zico going to be tanking a little bit of that blue zone damage. I mean, a great vantage point here if it was within that zone. But of course, now also still sneaking in a little bit of that damage, a little bit of that carnage, right? You got to do the most. And I love how everything just keeps on upsetting itself. I mean, Prestige down to a 2-piece. Not quite sure if Zico is going to be able to survive all the damage, but Delphine will fall instead. as we do say goodbye to the players there from Prestige. Down to the final 4 squads we go. We have Nordic, we've got Spain, we got Greece, and then of course the players that are coming through from Azerbaijan. I mean, I definitely thought that Azerbaijan would have been taken down much sooner. Or I actually thought rather that they've gotten sent out, you know, quite some time ago.
Yeah, you thought, I thought, we all thought, but no. Here we are. Nordic, of course, against Greece for that head-to-head, for that potential to take the winner chicken dinner. At least one player still from PMA to maybe steal a little bit of something else from this whole situation. But timing, as Nordic now caught with a little bit of that blue juice, having to make that rotation in. And Greece still holding the line, coming through from that western side. Very keen to take this winner chicken dinner. But Nordic, they have the better positioning.
Well, let's see now. It's going to be Greece sneaking up. I mean, yeah, Nordic, they definitely do have the positioning. As you can see, they've got that high ground angle. But Zico still going to be riding it out. Ooh, playing a little bit of that dangerous, you know, chicken with the blue. But Zico just managing to keep that up. Meanwhile, we do see Melas getting taken on down. And this is now where Greece find themselves in quite a bit of predicament. And with that, they go down. And now Zico going to be looking to claim that second place as the code then also appears. The Nordic finding 16 eliminations here is.
Woo! I like it. I love it. This is the kind of prowess you need to bring in if you want to be able to take this position away from anyone else towards the top of the ranking. So Zico, for Azerbaijan, they've done what they needed to do. They've got themselves those extra placement points. I mean, they only got one elimination, but it doesn't matter. Any points will count, although I don't know who is going to be able to catch up to a team like Nordic.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive showing going through from all the numbers. It was sitting on 16. That is an absolute rampage, right? That is 4 squads worth of eliminations that they were able to secure on that. So it means that 12 or 11 other teams didn't fall victim to them. So absolutely impressive play coming through from Nordic. But if you remember, I said before, right? Nordic is nice. That's why I go for them. And I mean, also they've been showing that they are also capable of getting quite aggressive, especially on the map that lends itself rather to that aggression. So well done, well played.
Absolutely. And again, as you mentioned, they're the team, the same roster that came back from Season 1. So it's good to see that they're having some success and they might make a completely different result happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's glorious to have all of this come through. As you know, we are seeing that improvement across the board. I mean, you know, the moderators coming through with moderate improvements. We'll go with that because why not? Sure. But of course, well, they're doing way more than that. They've been bringing in some very strong plays as we've seen. But that is the third match now done and dusted. As we know, after this, we have only one more left to go, and it's going to be none other than the lovely, glorious Vikendi for a little bit of that ice action. Right. We want to see what the teams are going to bring in, and of course, well, who knows? It's only time will reveal itself. But I do believe that we do have another potential break coming up as well, as we are going to be prepping ourselves to see where everything is going to be going. So if you want to drop your predictions, right, you've been seeing what momentum these teams have been building up so far. If you want to give us your predictions as to what you think the outcome of the final match is going to be sure to let us know in the chat wherever you're watching. But of course, then I think in the meanwhile it is going to be time for us to dip our toes into the break as we get ready for the final match. So we'll see you guys back in a short few moments.
Halo, gua Satar dari tim Bigetron Villain. Kali ini gua bakal nunjukin ke kalian Spectre Slayer set dari Royal Pass A1 yang terbaru. Nah, set ini akan gua cocokin dengan warna khas Bigetron nih. Selain skinnya yang terlihat keren, skin ini juga bisa membantu kalian dalam match loh. Karena pilihannya yang banyak, kalian bisa sesuai warnanya dengan map yang kalian mainkan, biar bisa berkamuflase. Contohnya, di Miramar, kalian bisa pakai warna kuning. Oke, jadi itu aja review Spectre Slayer set yang terbaru. Kalian nunggu apa lagi? Buruan login ke PUBG Mobile kalian dan unlock Royal Pass A1-nya, biar kalian juga bisa samaan kayak gua. Ditunggu ya.
Everyone, and welcome back. It is time for the final match right here in day number 1 of the PUBG Mobile Moderators Challenge Season 2. And of course, we are going to be heading into Vikendi to see where all the ice action is going to be coming from. But of course, well, as we know, right, it's been a very contentious play. We've seen some pretty insane elimination counts coming in, and I'm curious to see if that trend is going to continue, because it was pretty, evident in game 1, 2, and 3. But what will game 4 bring? Are we going to be seeing a little bit more of a spread out play, or will we have an absolute dominating performance coming in? Of course, there's going to be only one way to find out. Now, this is where I need to ask you a very, very important question, right?
Oh no, please don't.
No, I'm joking. But either which way, of course, as we know, I think Vikendi is going to be quite an exciting one, because, sometimes I think the beauty of Vikendi is that surprise element, the opportunity for a bit of a hard shift, especially coming through in the early stages of the game. Once we get to about that third stage, that's where the zone kind of slows down, right? Then it's nice and steady, then you have a pretty good idea, but it's still super unpredictable, especially looking at that phase 1 and 2. So I'm excited to see what these teams are going to be presented with. And of course, aside from action, what do you want to see come into Vikendi?
Well, I want to see these teams bringing through their best performances. As we know, we had Nordic just absolutely smacking teams around on that previous matchup, picking up eliminations. So moving into this one, the overall standings is going to be a massive point of contention. We can see Nordic only 4 points away from Prestige Gaming. So it's going to be massive focus on those two teams to see what they're going to be doing in this Vikendi. Again, if no one stops them, it's going to be very difficult to catch up. We only have 4 more matches after this Vikendi tomorrow to have these teams solidify their positioning. So a massive focus towards those two teams. I would like to see someone else stepping up to the plate, like Spaghetti Slayers, like Garuda. Yeah, it's been a bit of a tough time for them.
Yeah, it's been a tough time indeed. So let's see how this all then trickles through. Of course, a glorious 22 points coming through there from the side of Garuda. As we take a look at that second page, it's still pretty contentious, at least on this page, right? CIS Esports in Spain both sitting on 7. We got the Mavericks and Super Ratata sitting on 4 points, sharing that with the players there coming through from the side of PM. So at least all the teams have been able to secure themselves points. But of course, Esports Red currently sitting on those 3. But I mean, previously, before we concluded our second match rather of the day, well, number 3. Wow. We've already gone through so many. We had a few teams still sitting at the bottom looking for a few of those points, and I believe it was PTMS. I mean, now sitting on a glorious 11. So, yep, things are on the up and up here.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting one, depending on how these overall standings are going to be shifting. As we know, last match of the day, Vikendi is going to be that spanner in the works for everyone's joining into these last few moments of the PMMC Season 2. But I do think it might be another opportunity, again, just to bring in a surprising element. As you said, there is a little bit of that slowdown come through phase 3, moving on. But Vikendi does have some very interesting points of contention. I mean, some of the rotations, some of the terrain that you have to deal with, also that whole add of the snow, makes it a very difficult place to actually take these fights.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a challenge whichever way you look at it, and of course there's also the added bonus of a potential water play, right? It doesn't happen all that much when it comes to Vikendi, but it still happens, right? I've seen it once or twice, so curious to see how that is gonna be playing out. But as we know, right, Warriors maps, they are also playing, aside from bragging rights, they're also playing for their share of this absolutely amazing, amazing prize pool. And yet again, another 4,000 UC going to be up for grabs on this winner-winner chicken dinner. So, the teams can definitely make up for that, as we have seen a nice distribution of those chickens coming through for 3 different teams. But who's going to be the one to find chicken number 4?
Yeah, that's going to be the question. Going to be the last extra 4,000 UC up for grabs here for the first day, which means the teams who are going to be winning this one definitely going to be setting themselves up both in terms of prizes and, of course, in terms of momentum coming back tomorrow. So maybe let's see another team. Why not take another winner chicken dinner and make it a very, very contentious day number 2?
Yes, yes, yes. And of course, as we know, we're just going to be waiting for everyone to get nice and warmed up because we are heading into Vikendi. It is a slightly frigid map, yes. But yeah, of course, moving into Vikendi, we also have a few specific vehicles and weapons there that are very very well limited to the map itself. So I guess to see if we are going to be having any of that being utilized across the way as well. But of course, there's only going to be one way for us to find out how the zone or how this map is going to play out, right? We need to get down to the battlefield to see what these teams are going to be bringing in. Where do you want to see a zone or flight path potentially coming through, right? I always want to see something head over towards that western side, right? Maybe in towards like Dobro Mesto or somewhere like that. Just like these very contentious plays to be brought up.
Look, in terms of Vikendi alone, like you said, the western side is not a bad option. We have quite a few interesting points there. For me, the center is always a little bit chaotic, especially going towards some of those ridgeways. We've seen a handful of options happening there towards some of the campsites, towards the edge of those sides, and there's a lot of drop-offs again. So if the zone's going to be finishing there, it is going to be quite contentious. Let's not waste too much time. Let's just jump into the action and see what the teams have in store for us moving into this Vikendi.
Well, as we can see, of course, it is going to be an interesting one with regards to what that flight path has for us, right? Starts on the east, heads to the west. Dobro Mesto. Hey, hey, hey. That's what we want to see. Essentially, there's 3 major points here that I think it could be quite exciting, right? Dobro Mesto, Cosmodrome, and potentially Vilnova, right? Yeah, each having their own qualities. Also, if it was to go all the way down towards the winery position, I wouldn't say no, but let's see where the zone is going to be revealing itself. Right, Cement Factory also being a little bit of a sweaty spot, as there's quite a bit of a ridge surrounding that region. But here we go, the zone getting ready to pop. We don't really see any major hot drops going through. I mean, CIS, they do have a little bit of company heading up towards Port and Zabava. But where will it be revealed, though?
That's going to be the question mark here. So a few hot drops, as you've mentioned, over towards that southeastern side. Over towards the north, also, we have a little bit of some potential action. I think CIS do still have that opportunity to back away from the likes of Spain, so we'll see if they'll be continuing with that or if they are going to try and challenge that opportunity. Very curious to see what's going to happen more towards that southern side, though, with the addition of PMA, with the addition of course, our wonderful Baguettes team, and then the third team that's going to be moving into the action. It could result in some wild hot drop action right off the bat. And we're still just trying to answer the question of where that zone is going to go.
Well, west. West is best. Right.
You must be happy with this one.
Yes, when it comes to Vikendi, I think this is going to be an exciting one. I mean, no surprise to see a little bit of a attention being brought there to VAR. Villa surprisingly open. Back when we just had Vikendi appearing in the game itself, I mean, Villa was also one of those really hard positions to play for. Garuda, no surprise to see a little bit of occupation coming through on that side. But now Zico, ooh. A little bit secluded here. I mean, maybe you want to try and fall back into a little bit of that, you know, that safety, that fortification coming through from the numbers. But we did see Zico managing to survive all the way up into second place. So, you know, I think Zico, they've got it, right? So we don't really have to be all too stressed about them.
We also don't have to really be stressed about this whole situation, I would say. It does look like the Baguettes have backed off. They got a vehicle and they went on their merry way. Sapratatata doing pretty much the same thing, so they're giving that necessary spacing in. Even though this could have resulted in a bit of a three-way battle, now all of these teams, they have bigger fish to fry. They need to worry about the points, and the viewers need to worry about those UC codes. So please, be fast, be speedy, and let's go see if you can get some of that 400 UC. If you can hopefully have your redeem ready, it might be a little bit quicker. So we'll have to wait and see who's going to take that one. But yeah, just looking at the spacing, I'm really liking the respect that all of these teams are giving each other. Giving that spacing, falling back, disengaging, focusing on the win.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I did see a question appear on screen in the chat where someone was asking if it's a O or a 0. So the nice thing about the font that's being used, right, as you can see on the right-hand side as well as the top of the screen, if it's a 0, it'll have the line through it. Right, so if there's no line, there's a really strong chance that it's an O and not a 0. Right, so I hope that helps someone. But in the meanwhile, we are going to be looking on as our teams continue to make their way on through. Still, Esports Red, I mean, they are going to be in need of some points here. So hopefully Vikendi could be the map in which they accomplish exactly that. Because currently coming through with 3 points up. I mean, they've been that puts them on at least 1 point per game, right? So I mean, they've not been walking away empty-handed. Points are points at the end of the day, but we want to see a little bit more. Maybe Vikendi is going to be the one for them.
There's that potential. We might see a little bit of that action moving in. It will be up to the teams to make this one happen and to give them a best opportunity to start tomorrow strong. As you can see just on the side again, Prestige Nordic, my goodness, they are just running away from the competition. So looking at that, the only other teams that I can really see catching up to that point would either be the Spaghetti Slayers or Garuda, but Garuda has been quiet. I don't know, after map number 1, it just looks like everyone else stepped up and they were caught off guard with that one. So we'll have to wait and see how they're going to turn this one back, if they're going to be able to bring back a better performance moving into a map like Vikendi. Does set the challenge quite high, but it's not impossible, not whatsoever.
Yeah, and of course we've seen a few monsters arising, right? I mean, Prestige already with 50 points up. I mean, that is pretty impressive, regardless of, you know, the situation. It's still 50 points across 3 matches. Well done. But then looking at positions here, we got the players from Vanguard 1 also coming through with their 18 points. Again, a lot of opportunity here. A good starting point up in towards that Dobro Mesto. So they might receive a little bit of attention, but I think it's all going to come down to where this next zone shift is going to be taking the teams, right? Because the second shift can still be a slightly aggressive hard shift.
Yeah, no. There is still that opportunity to add a little bit of chaos into the mix, which I think might be a little bit fun to witness, especially given some of the positions. Oh, PM, yeah, they had a bit of a tough time there over towards Sanhok, and Maverick has been in similar situations time and time again. So both of these teams, it's a massive, massive, massive opportunity for them to make this into something else. And please do not take out my team of Sapratatata. I won't be able to say Sapratatata. Leave them alone. Please.
Well, there's going to be a little bit of that PUBG GTA coming through here. As Tudere, I hope I said that right. I think I did. No, just whipping themselves out of the vehicle, getting ready for a little bit of a response here. Look at that, though. I mean, Fearless and Martin just flying in like there's nothing in their way. Gotta love how the way the vehicles fly here, but of course already that vehicle has taken a little bit of a beating, and now it's gonna be up to Matex now to continue with the onslaught as they do find Martin.
Ooh, a little bit of a turnaround moving into this one. But again, massive opportunity for anyone and everyone who could pick up the points to make it happen. Sapratatata will have to say goodbye to Martin, it looks like, and just focus on longevity, which, again, is a difficult decision to make. But if you have an opportunity to save one or to continue moving on into the rest of the matchup, sometimes that just has to be the compromise here. But great opportunity from PTMS. Pick up at least one extra elimination. It's really going to help them later on. Let's just see if they can make the placements match all of their success so far. Greece, they'll be spotting Spain actually rotating in. And ooh, gotta be careful out in the open. Milas at least will be able to pick up 2. Okay. Please don't. Oh, that was nearly a third, DK. My goodness.
Yeah, well, the heat is definitely there, as we can see. Kazu now also getting ready for a bit of a reach. Up comes the shots now. Milas on the defensive. Oh, well, actually not the defensive, the aggression, as they are trying to keep this situation under control while the rest of the team starts to rotate on through. You can see a little bit of that flanking coming in here as Antidote looks to move in behind them, and this could be exactly what the side of Greece here now needs to pull off this maneuver, but it's all going to come down to the final few bits. Now, the push is on. Let's see. Will we see the side here of Greece get the opportunity, get the angles? Kazu keeping it nice and steady. The trades, of course, flying in all directions. Yoda, come on. Will they get it? That nade. Oh, just slightly overshoots. Kazu still managing to survive. And Yoda and Greece, again, now being in such a beautiful position here, they can definitely leverage all the opportunity available as Antidote comes rushing in, and up comes the nade. That is Ali D setting Kazu, and well, Akura now right on down. Absolutely amazing, as Spain are the first team to fall.
Hey buddy, we love to see that one moving in. Now it is going to be Team Baguette on the chopping block, as we have the Spaghetti Slayers moving in for that opportunity. I said there is an opportunity for them to pick this one up to potentially close the gap between themselves and second and third place, but it will have to start here with a team of Team Baguettes. And this, oh, is going to be a bit of an explosive one. You can see the cars now flying high. 2 down for the side of Baguettes as a third goes down for the likes of, actually, that's Spaghetti. So they're also going to be going down, so it's a 2-2.
Ooh, come on. Get it, get it, get it. Who's gonna find the next little bit though? I mean, Baguette getting ready for the rush. Are they gonna be having it though? It is 1 on either end. At least on the front line. And this could be exactly what they need. A beautiful nade gets sent through, and that is gonna be the end of the road for the Spaghetti Slayers.
There was also a self-molly in that that situation, so unfortunately, that was a bit of Spaghetti actually shooting themselves in the foot there. Unfortunate situation, but hey, these things happen. That was a pretty tough situation. Baguettes, however, they will be able to actually res all of their teammates back up into this one, so that's going to be a fantastic start for the side of Team Baguettes to bringing home potentially a win. We can see PTMS also jumping in with a lovely little bit of a G360, so they have an opportunity to do a little bit of damage. Our viewers have a little bit of an opportunity to pick up some UC, so be fast, be quick with those continuance. And oh, another nade from Sabrata Tata to at least find 1.
Well, let's see if Nata and the rest of the crew now from Sabratata are going to be able to get the job done. I like the fact that we have Nata up on the roof. It does allow them some really good information gathering here. But you got to be watchful here, of course. Azerbaijan also proving to be quite a force to be reckoned with, as we've seen across the previous few matches. Zico, you know, definitely coming in with a good, strong carry, as we've seen, especially looking at what we had going through on Sanhok. But now, are they going to be able to leverage that elevation and maybe play it down to this idea of ratatata as the shots come through? Nata now staying true to their name as they come in with a little bit of that ratatata. And fortunately for Azerbaijan, the reload just comes in at exactly the right moment.
Love to see that one. I mean, again, timing has been a massive, well, both killer and, of course, opportunists in this matchup so far. It's given some of the teams some great opportunities, but as you can see for NATO, it's also taken them down quite swiftly. Azerbaijan now going to be rotating in as well while they finish up their looting, but PTMS, they have an opportunity here to pretty much peek and prod at anyone in the surroundings. So very, very difficult situation for these teams. Again, peeking and prodding might give you a few extra eliminations, but it could also, as we just saw, result in a few knocks happening on your side.
Well, let's see now as Sudure now Looks for a bit of an opportunity. We got Victus up ahead. Matex also holding on high. But that M24, that could be a beautiful opportunity now to just drive in the hits. And of course, we are going to be waiting for that blue zone to close on through, as the is going to be restricting the play yet again. So let's see, is it going to be kind? Is it going to be mean? As the teams will have to work their way into whatever the zone brings, of course. Well, it is a nice, pleasant, slight little bit of a shift, right? Garuda now finding themselves beautifully close towards that center zone. Not a lot of contestation coming towards the southern side of the zone, but a lot of pressure definitely going to come in as the teams are going to be looking to bring in that northern approach, right? The opportunity is there. The team's looking for a potential angle to play at, but again, not quite sure. PTMS, though, they're going to be looking to rotate in alongside the beautiful chance they have to get themselves situated much further in towards that center zone.
This is going to be quite a bit of an interesting one. A few nades now being set out, as well as Azerbaijan. They want to make something happen here. The of Greece to try and hold on to the angle to keep themselves in this matchup. Both teams on a rise, a potential for their very much needed points. But again, positioning is going to be key here. We can see that 2-2 split from Azerbaijan really be able to provide an opportunity for them to pick up these points. But Yoda positioning that they get hold might be the difficult. You're dropping off, so Milas will have to bring up something crazy with this flank.
Oh, nice spray going through there from White Days. Just finds it in. Down goes Yoda. And now this is the opportunity for Azerbaijan to rush on to Greece. It's going to be Milas. Antidote with a beautiful off angle, cooking up that nade. Could find it up towards Siren, the rest of the crew, but instead, Antidote abandons the nade, gets the spray. And this is a beautiful off angle play now being utilized. But let's see, are they going to be able to sneak it all the way through? As Azerbaijan now descend down upon the building. Greece on heavy defensive. Milas trying to play these off angles, but it's not going to be working out all too great just yet. They have to push. All the nades coming in. This could be Antidote bringing in that upset, as the entirety of Azerbaijan are all now confined to this one compound. But the opportunity is there, right? Greece need to try and capitalize, but of course, Antidote going to try and bring Yoda back on their feet.
Very interesting position that these teams are finding themselves in. We'll have to wait and see how they're going to turn this one around. A few nades might make the difference here, but connections will be curious. You can see smokes deployed. Very difficult. You're almost going to be throwing utility blind, just hoping that they make the con. You can see already Azerbaijan taking hold of this entire compound, putting themselves in a better position here, waiting for those rotations, waiting for an opportunity to peek and take out the likes of Greece. Timing is going to be of the essence here.
Well, let's see now. Yoda going to be cooking up a bit of a play. Ooh, Shalona goes down. In the meanwhile, it's now down to White Days and Zico to get on the aggression here, as they still have a full force of Greece to try and reckon with. But of course, now LED resorting to the high ground. The blue zone also going to come tickling on in. So that will apply a lot of pressure on both these squads. But Yoda trying to strafe their way. Up comes Zico. Nice defensive angle being held. But unfortunately, it is going to be Greece to lock it in. DBS is coming through. Oh, but those health bars already super low. As we wait to see. Oh, and there we have it. It is going to be the end of the road. Of course, then, the players from Greece taking down Azerbaijan. Meanwhile, PTMS also going to be looking on as the shots continue to fly on through. Sabratata holding on to the edge up north. CIS, Esports Red, as well as Prestige, also still going to be looking for that approach.
Interesting rotations now up on the opportunity here. We can take a look towards center. Garuda, again, fantastic positioning for them, but for the rest of the teams, it might be a bit of a different story. Prestige still looking up for an opportunity. Haven't been able to pick up any eliminations, any points thus far. So it's been a bit of a difficult position for them. We'll be taking a few shots over towards CIS to see if they can get lucky. Esports Red just below them now, having to make a dash to safety. And oh, they will be doing so in a crossfire. So having to zig and zag, hopefully, their way to safety. We'll see if they can make a play here. Sapratata just up ahead of them. A few ridges, a few rocks will be able to provide them a little bit of that cover. But again, you're just rotating from one team to another. We can see PTMS just to the side. We can see PM moving in as well. So take your pick. There are teams everywhere.
Yeah, of course, if you missed it there, we had the code on screen as well. So, well, if you want to grab it, just pause, rewind, quick, fast, and get it in. In the meanwhile, as we are looking towards the edge of zone, Esports Red also just inching their way a little bit closer. I mean, this could be a nice bit of an upset because, well, Sabratata still yet to find that push across. But it could also result in Esports Red getting caught in a bit of a pincer play here. And now, as we look on, we have a few seconds left on the clock. We got PM also moving in towards that southern edge. So again, the team's starting to trickle up. CIS holding on to some nice few compounds. But especially having the players here from Garuda and the side of Baguette held up in the vicinity. CIS Esports, they need to be very, very careful how they play these next few plays.
Very careful indeed. We can see how these teams could potentially turn this one around, but it's going to come down to their decisions and, of course, the timing to see if they can actually execute the plan. Nordic towards that center, going to be a great position for them as well, just to take a peek at potentially either the Philippines or some of the rotating teams. That, of course, dependent on how this zone will potentially be shifting, and there it is. So that does mean Nordic actually have a potential to gatekeep the likes of the Philippines if they make a rotation sooner rather than later. Whereas we are still looking to Garuda, who have one of the best positions possible for this next zone. They are absolutely blessed with opportunities to start picking up some crazy eliminations as the teams have to rush into their crosshairs.
Yeah, that opportunity definitely is up for grabs here. But in the meanwhile, it's going to be Nordic now having to defend against the onslaught coming through from Greece. But Greece already finding so much momentum in this match, sitting with those 8 eliminations up. Now going to be looking to capitalize on even more as they do secure the next few. They need to hit those double digits. Nordic now down to Jedo as Matthias has been brought to their knees. Greece bringing in a very, very aggressive performance. But of course, a quick dash around. Oh, that does seal their fate. And Antidote almost getting taken down with that team nade. But that is going to be Nordic out with 2 elims. Maverick going to be losing Levi as Ram sends it up. Gets the nade in. Let's see what Cakes will be bringing here as the Philippines are essentially just taunting the side of Maverick. You can see just sitting in that absolute bombardment of utility. Now, Ram trying to find that strafe, trying to find the angle, the approach. They do spot the first. Will they get the second? Oh, the hits are in. It's DBS v DBS. And that is the Philippines securing the eliminations on the Mavericks.
Great resurgence for the Philippines to come back over towards Vikendi and actually get some success. But oh, Vanguard 1 is so excited for a potential third-party opportunity. They come drifting into this position. Now just having to take stock and see what they can make happen. We do have the side of PM just up ahead of them as well. And obviously, right on our screens, you can see Greece rotating into the vicinity as well. Quite a few teams now to have to deal with finding these positions, but some placements will give them that sense of peace. It does look like Greece, though. Oh, they have made an approach towards Team Baguette, so they will be crashing in on those compounds.
Well, let's see now. Will Prestige be able to pull it off? Meanwhile, as we look towards Philippines, you can see them now just scouting in the direction there of Vanguard. But of course, the zone, again, blessing the side there of Garuda. But now, the opportunity is there. Oh, Prestige feeling the heat, the pressure. As we do say goodbye to, well, it seems like a little bit of that Baguette action. Also now just starting to come on in. Down to 2-piece. You can see Prestige, Delphine now trying to just get themselves properly meted up. But Baguettes, I mean, they've also been showing some pretty great plays here across the performances today. And now, one more to go to add that 7th elimination to the tally. Will they be able to get it, though, as Destina is going to be holding steady, looking to push up. But as you can see, right, Delphine now just, getting the jump on them coming through. DBS in the back. Oh, but down they go as Skype closes it up, and that is going to be Prestige having to settle for 11th place.
Prestige now out. That does mean a massive opportunity for everyone else to start catching up, to start getting closer and closer to the top. Nordic is not in here as well, so first and second place teams, they don't have anything to say if we should be seeing some catch up. But Spain, a very unfortunate crash will be resulting at least in one down, but Shanky is going to be stepping up. That is massive now to hold the line here for Esports Red to keep them in this. As Ratatata go down, and Esports Red, well, they're still standing, at least for the time being. That was a bit of a helping hand there. I believe it was PMTS that actually stepped in to help them out there. But now, we've got a few more decisions to be made, especially here between Vanguard and the Philippines.
Well, let's see where this one is going to go as Philippines now get hit. Ram goes down. It's now up to AC and Codex to hold it nice and steady. Also, Cakes going to be hiding in the grass. As Vanguard 1 look to regain a little bit of ground. They still have quite a bit of pushing to do to get themselves secured into this next phase. And Duck going to be looking to apply a lot of the pressure here. Looking for the opportunity. Meanwhile, as we move back towards the north, Esports Red now, they've moved into the side here of PTMS. Oh, but that nade does stop Ramiz in their tracks. Garuda go right on down as they will not make it beyond that 9th play. But here we go. It's going to be the pressure still holding steady. Of course, CIS going to be sneaking in behind PTMS. So this is where Matix has to be super, super careful and not overstay their welcome.
They do. That nade is unfortunately not going to reach the distance it needed to. And now Esports Red are going to take this as an opportunity to move on in. DBS in hand, bam, to the face, and they go down. As Esports Red are starting to knock on the door, take down the building, take down PTMS with them. As Zone moves in, we can see that final confirmation there. Esports Red will be able to move on up. However, they do so right behind the likes of CIS. Making that much noise is going to draw attention to them.
Yeah, and the heat is going to be on as well, as they have just been able to secure themselves outside of that zone. Speaking of which, of course, up comes the codes. So be sure to get your fastest fingers first on that one. Meanwhile, CIS now just doubling down, as they do find a lot of opportunity at the expense here of Esports Red. And now it's going to be up to Killshot to see whether or not they can survive the onslaught, as Shanky has already been knocked, brought to their knees. Ooh, Aquaman waiting in the wing, the nades flying all over the place. Now they got to make the duck, but Killshot though gets the nade in.
Oh, love to see that one. Going to be giving them at least a little bit of spacing to deal with. CIS, they do want to move in for the confirmation. Maybe Zeus will be the one to make it happen. Killshot, though, holding on the line just for a moment. Able to get that res popped off. And they do pick up one from CIS. But I don't know if it's going to be enough for them to be able to get themselves out of this position. You can see a little bit more contention towards either side. So it's not going to be an easy rotation for them.
But I'm curious to see how CIS are going to be looking to play this one. I mean, they have the numbers advantage at this point, but now with Killshot just raining down chaos, it is going to be Dagger getting knocked down. Well, still they have the numbers to try and utilize, but of course the pressure coming through from Baguettes as well, and this could be that upset opportunity as Esports Red look to make a bit of a play. Oh, CIS now going to be running and gunning, but down they go. Esports Red sneaking in behind them. CIS, meanwhile, having to settle for that 7th place, not finding any eliminations in this match. But I love this momentum pickup coming through from Esports Red, already sitting with those 4 elims. Killshot staying true to their name. Vanguard 1 are going to be sent out in 6th. But here we go, down to the final 5. Philippines holding nice and steady. 2-piece left to try and utilize. You can see Antidote just off in the distance. Not quite sure how far Antidote is going to be able to push that one, as the remaining performance here for Greece is solely reliant on their survivability. But of course, Big S now going to be looking to double down as yet another code now reveals itself. Our final 5 teams will have to fight it out to the finish, as Rissa looks to get the confirmation up on Cakes. But you got to watch out, there's a snake. No, Codex goes down, and that is it. Antidote with a quick response, saving Rissa. And now, down to the final 4 we go, right? There's only one player currently holding on to Zorn, and it is none other than Rissa. Still got to watch out for Antidote hanging in the wings. But of course, this is still a great chance maybe to see something come through from the side here of Team Baguette, right? It's going to be a tough rotation because as you can see, it's an absolute open field, so not an easy push to pull off. But let's see, maybe it can still happen.
Waits for that opportunity. Esports Red kill shot down to only a sliver of HP. Has to drop, has to get some a little bit of supplies going here. As Team Baguette is going to be holding that position. So Medgate going to be popped off. Again, Baguettes, they have the best numbers. It is literally a 3 versus 3 solos in this situation, but positioning not on their side. And unfortunately for them to push forward, they have to be in the crosshairs of these 3 solos. Starting off with kill shot first. Give them that extra bit of spacing if they can take them out. Oh, Antidote steps up, is going to give that opportunity away for the Baguettes as they move on in for the finish. Antidote down to a sliver of HP, so it's a quick finish. Now it is down to ES Red and PM.
Oh, phenomenal play. Beautiful rush and all coming through from Baguette. And now, well, all they got to do is find Rissa. They do succeed in locking in the first few hits. Destina and the rest of the crew now going to double down as they can see that winner chicken dinner coming over to them. And with that, they begets themselves a lot of glory, right? Securing the final winner chicken dinner of the day. What a performance, though, coming through from Team France.
No, it was fantastic. Team Baguette, they brought in the win, and that was off the bat of a very difficult situation. So just the timing that they had that push, they were ready and waiting for it. They were like, look, one solo is going to step up at some point, try and take us out. We're going to use that opportunity to move in. And it was Antidote ultimately that triggered all of that to happen. Rissa stepping up, taking down kill shot, gave Baguette exactly what they needed to take that win away. So brilliant finish, and a very interesting one indeed that we didn't have our top 3, top 4 teams in that final matchup.
Yeah, but I think that's the beauty of it, right? Because, I mean, it's that RNG just playing to its fullest potential, right? Upsets happening all over the place. And of course, I think that's also nice about cycling through the maps, right? The teams having to change up the playstyles as they progress through these games. But of course, well, again, quite a few aggressive plays that we've had come through. We might have a bit of a contention coming through for that pole position, as we do know Prestige, they were sitting with 50 points up, but as we saw, they unfortunately weren't able to find any points coming off the back of this game. So the opportunity for upsets is going to be there. But of course, we are going to be taking a look at those overall standings to see what the teams find themselves on at the end of our very first day right here in the PUBG Mobile Moderators Challenge. Of course, well, Prestige still holding steady with 50 points, but Nordic now 4 points away.
All right. Well, there are your results. So, a very close and contentious battle between Prestige and Nordic moving into tomorrow's set of games. The Spaghetti Slayers, not a bad opportunity for them, I would say, either to get themselves into a better placement. Garuda, we know they were on a 20-plus point lead, so just ignore the total. The math is not quite mathing there, but don't worry. We know where they're sitting at. In terms of this last game, though, Baguette just jumping up into top 5 placements, so that's going to be massive momentum. Hopefully, they use that to their advantage coming back tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope that that is going to be the case for them, of course. Well, for those of you who didn't want to math, Garuda was sitting on 24 points, 25 points. So, yeah, 25 because there was 4-point difference. But either which way, of course, then as we look at the second page, right? Esports Red still holding on to those 3 points. So it was another tough play. But I'm curious to see, how everything is going to turn out in the end. I mean, Subratata also trying really hard to secure a few players across the way. But of course, we did see the players there from CIS also, bringing in a few players across the board here. And again, I think moving into tomorrow, there's going to be a great opportunity for a lot of major upsets to be acquired, as we did see today, right? The potential they're sitting on 50 points in a day. So who knows, right? Maybe we could see a few teams heading up in towards lovely 100 points. Who knows, right? But of course, we are going to be taking a look at a few of the highlights as well. Just to remind the viewers of the beautiful, insane, crazy mayhem that we had happening over on Vikendi. So I think without any delay, let's have a quick look at those highlights. Amazing plays coming through from Vikendi yet again. Of course, well, you got to give it up to Matix, right? Those nates were just absolutely amazing, beautifully on point, and we appreciate all the upsets that we see coming through. But I mean, that is the beauty of looking at teams that we don't know a heck of a lot about, right? Because I mean, if we don't know a lot about them, the opposing teams also don't know all too much. So it does add quite a level of surprise to the whole situation. Looking to see how everyone is going to be performing and where these upsets could be trickling their way on through.
Absolutely, and I think that's the joy of this whole situation is we get to just be surprised and to see what these moderators have in store, what they can bring to the table, what they can bring to the competition. And so far, I think they have been pretty impressive, honestly, DK. I feel like we could see some of these players take it a little bit further, but definitely some massive heavy hitters, some interesting plays, some great team synergy. I think that's the biggest surprise that I've seen so far is there's been some really good team fights. I mean, the way in which, as an example, we saw Baguettes pushing in those last few moments. Again, massive coordination needed for that, and they did so beautifully and executed the plan to perfection. So I just have to give a shout out to the moderators. They have been on point with their team synergy.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because seeing that they work together for so long, there is a level of synergy that is, that just kind of happens by default. So yeah, I have to agree. The synergy looking pretty good out onto towards the battlefield. I mean, it's not only the case with the players coming through from Team Baguettes. I mean, we see that across the board with a lot of these squads, right? There's a lot of that. Decent movement, right? I mean, you can see them just working their way through whatever challenges they are facing. So it's very satisfying to see it. I'm curious to see how that is all going to translate then moving into day number 2, because I mean, there's an opportunity for teams maybe to try and revise a few of the strategies, looking to see come through into the last few games that we have available. But of course, as we know, we don't expect any VOD reviews or anything like that to come through, right? I mean, we're not there. This is not what this event is, right? This is just for the moderators to have a little bit of a fight to see who's going to be the best region when it comes to the moderators, at least when playing PUBG.
Yeah, so a little bit of bragging rights, a little bit of UC on top, and ultimately just a big thank you from us to them for giving us all of their time and effort as we move through other seasons and give them the opportunity to showcase a little bit of their own skills. So ultimately, this is just a beautiful opportunity to see what these teams are going to be bringing in. But DK, I think that is going to bring us to the end of day number 1 as we need to get ready for day number 2.
Yes, 100% agree with you on that one. So on that cue, we are going to be saying good night, right? So thank you so much for everyone that pitched up and joined us in the action. Of course, well, excited to see what the teams are going to be bringing in tomorrow. And there's only going to be one way to find out, so be sure to join us tomorrow. Same time, same place, and even more PUBG Mobile action. Until then, stay fresh, stay frosty, and we'll see you all later.
Yoo-hoo. embrace our comfort zone, protecting people with a tone, with a tone. We just want to save this world, so prepare yourselves for us. Try to take me down, 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 down. Try to lift me up, but above. I will stop the time crashing through my mind. Let's try to get beyond.